Oh my god. Uh, hey, first things first, you'll notice I'm bigger today. That's because I actually set a camera preset, finally. If you're wondering how bad my executive dysfunction is, um, I've noticed that I wanted to be bigger on the chatting screen and knew there was an easy way to do that and wanted to do that since like February. Anyway, it's morning, it's Tuesday. I was going to stream yesterday, but I wasn't able to take meds, which means I wasn't able to actually like get up and functional in a reasonable time or fashion. So I was basically a useless lump all day. So that's cool. It's not cool actually. It's really annoying. I would like to be a functional person, and I'm not right now, and it's really annoying. So I'm sorry for that. I'm gonna actually hang on. Let me just knock myself down a little bit and over a little bit. I don't really care about. There we go. That's better. How we doing? I'll save that as the position. That way I can switch between like game time and not game time. There we go. All right. Coffee save me. Save me coffee. Oh my god, coffee save me. Also, this is from Shoto. It's called Italian the Cyber World as a background song. Check out the Dover Cinnamon Project. I'm slurring my words right now. It's almost like I'm having a stroke. All right. I'm not okay today. What the fuck? My original plan was to play Tunic today. I don't know if I have the mental capacity to do that right now. Um, that's a concern. Hmm. 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 Not sure how I feel about that. Um, so I've been goofing off in Tears of the Kingdom. I don't really want to play that on stream. Um, I am less than confident in my ability to play a video game today or even do a good stream today. Hopefully that's okay though. Um, God, it's been wild. I have like the last couple of bits of a project to finish, but I'm just hoping I'm just really hoping that my meds come in. Just so we I don't talk about this when it's like an immediate thing all the time. I also don't want to talk about medical stuff all the time, but like so October 10th I will not be streaming. The reason I will not be streaming on October 10th, and I'll say this during that week, also and also probably next week, is that I have like 3 or 4 doctor's appointments. They're all remote appointments is the thing. But they are in fact they are all in fact like things that I have to like deal with. Um Otherwise I don't know. There's not really any bad things that happen if I don't do them all, but it's sort of just they all ended up on the same day, just sort of back to back to back to back. Um I love how my ADHD meds are still waiting for approval, and it's been like fucking I've messaged both doctors and it's been like a week and a half now that they've just been sitting there. That's cool. Um yeah, sometimes it just works out that way. But like also welcome on Robo. I hope you're doing good. Uh I have one more pill for the ADHD meds. I have one more pill and I'm going to hold on to it until Thursday, but like my brain does not feel good right now. I'm just gonna level with you. Like I've been rationing it out to like try and like hold off until they refill, and they're just not doing it, and I don't fucking know why. Like the worst part is they're just not telling me why. There's nothing to explain why it's still waiting and sitting on approval. And like the doctor who prescribed it was like, "All right, I've done all my stuff. Should be going through," and it's still not going through. And I don't know why. And it's just very frustrating. Um yeah, order your meds. Order your meds before they run out. There have been several times where I've like ordered my ADHD meds early because I know they're gonna have to go through an approval process, and they're always like, we're gonna put a hold on that because it's too early to," and I'm like, yeah, I know. I'm not asking you to fill it today. I'm asking you to start the process because I know it'll take a while. Oh my god. Also love that ADHD is treated by like stuff, but also you have the problem of like, oh, do you need to be like super on top of everything all the time or else everything falls to shit? Cool. We're gonna add your meds being a horrible fucking bunch of hoops you have to jump through every single refill every time forever. There's always the risk that that this time is going to be the time where it like fucks up and then your whole life falls apart for fucking no reason. Oh wait, no, the reason is we couldn't get you your meds in time so that you could remember what time is. Uh I just I want to be a good time person. I want you to be able to hang out here and have a good time. I'm sorry that I keep bringing up bad time things. This is my bad time thing. It's relevant to me and I don't regret saying these things, but I'm like, "Oh man, yeah, well, this is the vibe today." Um but if you've noticed me getting like grumpier, it's because I keep having to like deal with stupid bullshit instead of doing the things that I want to do. Jesus fucking Christ. I mean, yeah, that's fair, but like, how do I put this? Stream is me time. Stream is something I do for me. I'm interacting with other people. I mean, yeah, but like, I'm not too hung up on. I'm not too hung up on that. That's not the like the act. I can do unactivity. I gotta let I gotta let things like get into my system, you know. But anyway, yeah, like I'll be okay. I just like I'm still sipping on my coffee. I'm still like trying to just get back in the groove of it. I feel bad because I wanted to play Disco Elysium yesterday, and part of me wants to play it today, but like that's also a very focus heavy. It's a slower and more focus heavy game, and I know Tunic is going to be a bunch of puzzles, and I want to do it, but I also it might go bad. I don't know. I had a bunch of things. Hang on. Okay, so yesterday was going to be Disco. Today might still be Tunic. Um, I had something I was going to set up for Thursdays. Was it another Crab's Treasure? Was I going to play more of another Crab's Treasure? That's a game I can just sort of like turn my brain off a bit for some of the time. Like the timings are weird, but like that other than that it should be okay. Um we might do that instead today. I hope that's cool. But like it's been it's been a week. So like the weird thing is, so the meds that I There's okay, I'm on the West Coast, which means I have Kaiser Permanente as an insurance. It's pretty much the most prolific insurance in this region of the US. Um and if I'm totally honest, it's not great. It's basically like a big corporation that also runs medical facilities. So basically they've monopolized the healthcare of the area, which is deeply fucked. And I hate that. There are some efficiency things that tend to go faster and are nicer, just because they can go faster, but that doesn't mean you get fucked any less in the American healthcare system. One of the main issues is that all of my meds that are not controlled substances, um, are very punctual and very straightforward and very it's real nice to have your meds come in on a regular basis at a regular time. And that is not necessarily a typical experience with Kaiser. Um but it is my experience thus far with Kaiser. Um is that here in this region, the process of getting regular stuff done is fine. The problem is what they consider regular stuff. Because for some fucking reason, ADHD meds are a controlled substance. Um, and I get that for like the stimulant medications, right? I'm on a stimulant medication. That one kind of makes sense because it's one that people love to abuse and that people love to use recreationally and that people love to like scalp and sell off and do other shit with. And I don't. I've known people, even people who have ADHD, who do that, and it boggles my fucking mind. Like, I'm not selling my meds. That's not happening. There's no point in time where I will make enough money off of selling my meds where it would ever be a thing. Never mind the fact that, like, they're my fucking meds that I need to, like, be a functional human being. And that I like being a functional human being. And it's not a matter of like getting addicted to them, because I also, here's the thing, many times still forget to take them. Clearly they're not habit forming. You know, yeah, functioning is fucking important, but like clearly, were it not for Spouse Larkin poking me in the morning and when she says goodbye to go to work, and then usually I'm like, oh right, meds, or she'll be like, hey, take your fucking meds, which is very nice of her. She doesn't need to do that. She does that and she doesn't need to do that, but she knows that my day will be improved if I remember to take my meds. I love her so much. We both have the Adahuda, and we both just sort of like try and cover each other's backs on it. And I think we do a pretty okay job. But yeah. Like even with another human helping me remember to do this, I still forget to do it plenty of times. There's plenty of times where I just straight up forget. And like it's not an addictive substance, really. I'm gonna be honest. I'm sure people could get addicted to it. But like my issue is not when I don't take it for a while, like I get like some sort of weird fucking like withdrawal issue. The issue is I forget shit. The issue is my brain just goes into like the Adahuda fugue state fucking for hours at a time, and I just like time ceases to exist to me, and priorities that I know I want to get done just sort of enter this anxiety producing radiation factory in the back of my brain, and then I don't remember that those things need to be done, but I just know that I'm anxious because there are things that I need to do. That's not a normal symptom for withdrawal from a substance. Right? Like, yeah, brain fog is infuriating. I hate brain fog. It's been a thing that I've dealt with my whole adult life. Like, like I've talked about this before. I know I don't have sleep apnea, but I know that there's something wrong with my brain because like I'll go to sleep and I'll wake up and I'll be mentally recovered, uh, but only as far as like my brain actually works. Hey, Cobble, what's up? Um, so like, that's like there's always kind of like just a filter on my brain between it is totally not a Friday. Thank fuck it's not a Friday. Um, but like, but like there's like a filter between me and all of reality. Yeah, I got a cup of coffee. I freshly ground some coffee and it's ready to get brewed. All I have to do is rinse out the fucking I have a French press. I probably don't do French press correctly because I just do the like throw in the grounds, pour the water, let it steep, and then press it. And there's probably more steps that like fancy coffee people do. I don't give a shit. Um, this is sufficient for me and I enjoy it. And it's good coffee. It makes things more tolerable. See that coffee I definitely have some sort of like addiction to because I'll go through withdrawals if I don't have coffee. Right? Like, but with the Adahada, and probably also like this is the like the Patuzda depression kind of combo where like I feel sort of like it's a lot of likes. Where I feel sort of I don't know, alienated from my own existence at all times. Um Part of it is probably also kind of a trans thing. There's a lot going into that one. But like there's this like filter between me and all of my existence forever. And there's no like the Arahara meds don't get rid of that. There's no amount of like exercise or diet or like good mindfulness behaviors that get rid of. There's just always this sort of like I feel like I'm like my brain specifically has been put into one of those vacuum sealers and then like surrounded with foam insulation in my skull at all times. At all times that's the sensation is that like oh, I'm sure. But yeah, but like I mean, yeah, that's fine and all, but like this isn't about like learning self-love. This is about I want to feel like sharp and present in the world. Thanks for that on the stretch. I want to feel sharp and present in the world because I don't. That's a fun one. I've never had that. I've had that sensation of like you can feel every like God, what the fuck is with my language the language center of my brain today? I've had the feeling of granularity in the eyes themselves. The sort of you know exactly how far your eyes move and you can feel when you're doing even when you're doing the like the like the tracking an object thing with your eyes, you can feel the sensation of them moving. I've never had that as like as a withdrawal symptom though. That's just been a that's an occasional migraine activity. Um Wild. Don't know that I've ever felt my eyes buzzing. Yeah. That seems that's a concern. Yeah, like it probably won't track it all on the eye camera stuff, but like there's a I can shake my eyes. I can do the eye shaky thing where it just causes the you can't see my hand because I don't have hand tracking yet. Yeah. Okay, so one of these days I will actually set up. I will fully set up my hand tracking finally. With either Vignan or Warudo, I'll finally get those figured out, and you'll be able to see my hands. But I can do the thing where it makes the eyes sort of jiggle in place. It's a thing I've been able to do since I was a kid. It freaked out some people. It's probably not good to do it, and I don't make a habit of doing it, but I can still do it. I don't know if it was visible. I did it a few times here just now. It probably didn't pick up as anything. But yeah, there's a bunch of stuff. And okay, so my ADHD meds are still waiting for approval, even though they've been approved, which is wild. Like they've gone through, they should ship today, which means I'll probably get them by Thursday, ideally. I still have work to do on things, and I want to get the work done on the things. Ugh. At least I'm not on payroll yet. That's fantastic, actually. God. It's good stuff. Hey, I've been running this. Yeah, I think I've run most of this song, so I'm actually going to pause this song. I'm going to turn that off. We're going to go over to... Yeah, we're going to switch the game chops back on. There we go. But hey, so yeah, my meds have been on hold, so I was supposed to receive them. If everything had gone to plan and my meds had shown up when they were supposed to, if they got processed in a timely fashion and arrived when they're supposed to, they would have shown up either Friday of last week or yesterday. That's when they should have shown up, like at my house, because I ordered them by mail. We have a secure mailbox here now, so I can do that, and it's fine. Well, I say secure. I have a mailbox that can't just be kicked open by a toddler, which is what the old mailboxes were. So that's fun. But yeah, presumably I will get my meds, and then I'll be able to continue doing that. I think I might have to just go without meds for a while, which is annoying. I do not enjoy this. And they always say, hey, take a med vacation. And I'm like, no, I have shit to do. I don't really build up a tolerance for the medication. I know y'all like to say that. Yeah. My doctor keeps advising that I go on a med vacation for specifically the ADHD meds. The other meds, no, but the ADHD meds, yes, so that you don't build up a tolerance to them. I've never built up a tolerance to them. Never once in my life have I built up a tolerance to ADHD meds. It's never been a thing. It has never once been a thing. I mean, yeah, you still have a semi-functional medical system. You have a 30% efficient medical system. They wouldn't advise you to do that there because in the UK, if they can't treat you, then they just would rather you die. If they can't treat you immediately. Whereas here, if they can't treat you immediately, they want you to pay extra money so that they can treat you. I don't know if you're allowed to, like... It's essentially extortion here. And I don't believe you're allowed to extort patients over in the UK because you have a national healthcare system. But yeah, no, basically, I keep getting advised because there's a shortage Okay, so fun story. This is another thing that pisses me off. So, we're gonna go on a political rant for a little bit. All right. So if you're not a fan of political rants, I'll see you. Um, Never, because I get political a lot on here. Uh, but here's the deal. Here's the deal. There's a global shortage of ADHD meds, and It is not. Uh, it is not for like a bunch of people are picking it up or like it's being stolen from the facilities. No, the FDA, the U.S. regulatory body for food and medication, Food and Drug Association. Um, the FDA basically uh demanded that all manufacturers of these ADHD medications uh stick to super outdated what's the they essentially have a maximum limit that these companies are allowed to produce of certain medications that are controlled substances. You can only produce so much of it. Otherwise, we shut you down and also fine the shit out of you. If you do business in the U.S., they will fine you and they will basically not let you do business here if you don't follow their standards and their limits on your stuff. Pretty much, it's a racket. And there's been an increase in prescriptions for ADHD meds, but not a huge increase, honestly. And the med standards haven't changed in, I know they haven't changed since 2010, but it's probably way earlier than that, where the amount was set as like a standard of stuff that they produce per thing. And so the actual, the limit, the reason there's a shortage on ADHD meds right now is specifically because the US regulatory body has decided not to do anything sensible because they like the idea of getting extra money from being able to fine someone and penalize them because they get a boner from that. That is the only way that they can, like, get their rocks off, is by making people suffer. Even though, here's the best part: abuse of Adderall and abuse of Ritalin, which are the two major, like, and they're various pseudo generics and that sort of thing. The abuse of those things from the prescription sources is way down. Actually, abuse of all drugs is like on a steady decline. It's pretty respectable, actually. It's pretty great. And it's not because they're limiting the amount that's going in. There's still a constant shortage. And I still personally know, even though I know it's not, here's the thing. I know someone who did this thing and they shouldn't have done it. And I get really mad at them. But it's not because they were like trying to get by and make ends meet. It's because they were selling off their fucking ADHD meds solely because they went to parties and they wanted to be the cool party hookup. And I have not beaten the shit out of this man because I haven't seen this man in 5 years. But if I see him again, I am beating the shit out of him. I will hold that grudge. And you may quote me on this as a categorical threat to this person, that if I commit assault on someone and I'm screaming at them for basically just not taking care of their own goddamn mental health, and they're like, man, my mental health sure is bad, I'm just going to keep selling my meds. That's why I'm beating their ass. So this is premeditated. You should not give me a, like, crime of passion. I'm not going to kill them, so it doesn't really matter for that. But, like, I should get first degree assault on that. All right? If I see this person again, I will probably do that. And I will actually turn myself in. You don't need to worry about that part. But, like, let this be a statement that gets recorded and saved over here and also on YouTube, that I am admitting to the crime of knowing that I'm going to kick this man's ass because he did not take care of himself and instead decided to sell, which is a crime. That's a federal crime. That's a federal crime. Why would you do that? Actually, I know he stopped doing it because he got caught. Uh, he got caught, and now he can't get his meds. I actually don't need to kick his ass in that case because he already can't have his meds. But yeah, no. I hate the FDA now specifically because they've decided that like they're not going to increase the like limits on certain medications just because like prescriptions are increasing. Because the FDA believes that no one should actually have to have medications of any kind or drugs of any kind. They believe that all drugs, despite the fact that drugs are just something that changes your physical, like your physiological state, that's the thing, and they're supposed to regulate those to make sure that they don't get like misused and that their production is in a safe fashion and that they actually like have good standards of quality on these things. That's what the FDA is supposed to do. And what the FDA does instead is do shit like let Tylenol get a bunch of arsenic in it, or or this, where they just like clamp down on on the production levels of a medication, where like more people are getting prescribed it because it treats various things. It treats ADHD, it treats narcolepsy, it treats a couple other things, but they don't want to talk about that because what if people start thinking that drugs can be good sometimes? I don't know. I love Excedrin. Excedrin's great. Excedrin makes my migraines less bad. There's also like long form migraine medication that's really good, and I would like to have some of that again someday. But I think it conflicts with some of my other meds, so I'm not allowed to take the good migraine shit. Here's the thing. They don't care how you take the drug. They just care that you suffer as much as possible while you do it, and also that the process for getting it is as difficult as possible. If it's anything worse than like an over-the-counter substance. Anyway, political beef with the FDA. They're not doing their job right, and they're doing their job wrong a lot of the time, and I don't like them. I like the part where they make sure that things don't have active poisons in them, and that we're not like, taking a medication and then getting, mercury or lead poisoning for a completely related reason because it's in the medication. But like, I would like them to do more of that stuff and less of the like telling companies that they're not allowed to meet the demand, like the legitimate demand for a medication. That seems fucked. I mean, there's also just the just horrendously ballooned costs of everything in the US. Everything here is so fucking expensive compared to basically anywhere else. And it's not, the money isn't going to the people who actually do the work to get that stuff here or make it happen or make sure it's safe. It all goes into the pockets of like 20 people. And the worst part is you can't even murder those people and have that money go to other people because it's imaginary money. Anyway, all right, this VOD's getting deleted almost certainly. Oh my god. I'm almost certainly nuking this VOD, so we're probably not going to play a game that involves any serious progress today. But yeah, like, it's just fucking wild. Also, I didn't realize how much everything... Okay, speaking of things that cost a lot, I did not realize how much everything costs in Tunic and how expensive it is and how much farming you have to do to make all of the things happen so that you have stuff. did not realize that it would be like, it's like five grand in game, and you don't make that fast to do like, to get like good stockpiles of everything. And I don't blame them. Like, there's a lot of stuff where it shouldn't have stockpiles. There's a lot of things where like, yeah, you can buy a bunch of it, but you don't need to. But like, that's a thing. I don't know. The more I've been playing, okay, so yesterday, in addition to just being useless lump, I played a bunch of Tears of the Kingdom. Um which I could. Here's the thing, I've already done a playthrough of Tears of the Kingdom, and I'm doing one. So when I did my playthrough of Tears of the Kingdom, I used the account on my Switch that is just for streaming. I never played it on my personal account. So that's what I'm doing now. And I'm abusing the shit out of a bunch of things because I hate farming, but I'm willing to do it. As you well know, I'm willing to farm for many hours if I'm not paying attention on all sorts of things. But I've been trying to. My goal is to essentially get as many of the things, many of the items and like the monster parts that I need to upgrade clothes and stuff. Before I do anything serious, in story progression. So I want to get as much of the like, as much of the abyss, the Underdark, done as possible, and I got all of the fucking sections of the map done. And I'm like slowly digging through and getting as much of the shrine completion as I can and all that stuff. I could do that on here on stream, but I feel like, I don't know. Here's the thing. Robo, you've mentioned that you want more fishing content on here, that you want me like hanging out and fishing. And I'm here for that. Next month, the multiplayer server goes into a new season for Minecraft, and I'm going to actually like do some more stuff on there. I know Cobble's excited for that. I'm excited for that. And since I'm no longer doing all of the things that I had to do during this summer specifically, I won't be. Okay, that's fair. I appreciate that. I want to get more. Here's the thing. I want to do some chill shit, but sometimes chill shit is busy work in games. Like, sometimes chill shit is just farming enemies in games, and it's not very engaging. In my mind, like, it's not very engaging. Like, I do that stuff when I'm watching someone else. Also been harder to do a lot of that because a lot of the people that I normally watch during late night hours have moved to morning streams. That is fair. Minigame fishing is fun. But like, oh shit! Hey, Master, how you doing? Holy crap! Hang on, let me give you a shout out real quick. Howdy. Hey, give the Master a follow. Welcome on in. Let me do the Stream Elements shout out. What were you up to? You were playing Deep Rock Galactic. Hell yeah. Rock and Stone. I'm drinking coffee and kind of just chilling out for a little bit before we figure out what we're going to do. But yeah, like a lot of, I love doing, here's the thing. I love being on here and exploring things in games. That's great. Love that. I think that's very fun. I'm a huge fan of I'm a huge fan of Metrovanias, but they're very slow, and I like to backtrack and check all the things and see what I can get away with doing, and I feel like that gets brain glazingly boring in a certain way, so that it's not a thing that you want to like hang out with and do, but it is a thing that you can do, you can have on and like have that in the background while we chat about shit. And I think that's fine. But like normally I do all of my farming for like all of my Elden Ring farming. Oh my god, I have so many hours in that game, and like easily a quarter of those hours are just straight up farming. I think I've wasted 10 real days of my life, just if you stack all the hours together. Like 10 to 12 real whole days of my life. Just killing dudes to get items for various builds and various playthroughs, and I can't do it anymore. I can't do it anymore. I can't do it. It hurts my soul. It hurts my soul so much. But hey, for anyone who's new here, also from the Antmaster, if you gotta go get what you gotta get. If you gotta go to work, if you gotta get food, if you gotta get coffee, if you gotta do whatever. It's all good. Take care of yourselves. But in the meantime, I'm Grumlarkin. I'm a hobgoblin, and normally today I would be doing video games. We may do a video game later. I don't know which one. It's a choice between two. They're both good. They're both fun. But oh god, right. Oh right. Don't you do like overnight shift stuff? I don't know why that's in my brain. I don't think we've ever talked about what your job is these days, or if you have a job these days. But something in my brain reminds me that you may have an overnighter job. And that's why you stream from like 9 to noon. The Antmancer. Welcome, Cobble. I may need to make a fresh pot of coffee. It might be time to do that during the ad break. The ad break is in like 15 minutes. 14 minutes, excuse me. Oh, okay. That's fair. So I'm doing freelance stuff right now, which means I'm unemployed with an asterisk. It's the fucking worst. I hate it. I hate it so much. I'm doing writing coach stuff. So I'm teaching people basic business and other sorts of writing skills like resumes and cover letters and how to deal with job hunting in the age of AI and dog shit. And basically I have to caveat everything that I tell people with yeah, it's I also do writing center work, so like, you know, with the back at university where they had the writing center and you helped out people. That's awesome, actually. That's fantastic. I love that for you, Cobble. That's great. Like getting paid to just sort of fuck around, I'm good with, because it's their dime. But like I'm not getting paid to fuck around. I'm getting not paid to not fuck around. Like I have work I have to do and then I don't necessarily get paid for it, which sucks. But yeah, like I do like I'll do I'm still doing script writing stuff for people, and it is going very slow because I keep trying to get a better handle on what needs doing, and then I don't get any specifics. And then there's the fun script writing, which my brain won't let me do until I do the unfun script writing. So that's cool. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. Basically, I help people learn how to write stuff, and I also help people deal with the necessary skills to build a resume, and I also have to explain to them why. I have to do that, and I have to give them a huge grain of salt because everyone's using AI to filter applications, and a bunch of places are pretending to be hiring when they're not actually hiring. Um, I'm gonna be honest, the job market has become the most predatory thing I have seen ever in my life. And it's terrifying. I From 2018 to 2022, I did an average of 3 job applications a week on Indeed and Upwork and those sorts of places. Um, and every I got like a handful of calls back. I'm not gonna say I got no calls back. I got basically nothing. I got some calls back. I got some responses every once in a while, and it would always end up being that they wanted me to do what was obviously free labor as part of the interview process for an entry level job, or they would want me to commit crimes like perform ethics violations or just straight up plagiarize and like do that sort of thing. Yeah, like I went into I went into a writing degree back in fucking 2010, and by like 2014 it was really obvious that no one was going to be getting jobs unless they already had like deep connections before they started college in any field that involves writing. And now, with the advent of AI, a lot of people are like, well, we can just have a robot do it for free. And one, all of their shit, the amount of places where I've seen everything just as it's written out, really obviously AI. Um, what's your idea, Cobble? To finish my thought, everywhere that has a big business option, like has a big business centered around it, all the big business people have used AI. AI doesn't do good chat GPT work. Yeah, like here's the thing, chat GPT doesn't replace good writing skills. It in fact mirrors and compounds bad writing. Like I've seen it. And a lot of like if you do a short form thing, you can probably get away with having something that looks almost eloquent, but kind of falls apart if you get to any level of editing on it. Like once you use AI text creation, you kind of fuck yourself for anything. It's the same with like AI imaging. Like AI images, you can't easily edit, and also you can't have like normally if you commission an artist or you have a design team, you can be like, hey, I need this to look this way, and they can just do it. They can just change that part of it, and you don't have to start from scratch, and also you don't have to go from like 50 different times. I fucking swear to God. I swear to God, couple. I'm not doing that. I literally Here's the deal. I got through like 2014. I started looking at jobs because I didn't know I was going to be like horribly ill for the next year and a half to 2 years. Uh, so in 2014, right before I was about to get really sick for like 2 years, um, I was looking for jobs because I was about to be finished with my degree. I had like a handful of classes to get done and it was going to be fine. It was not fine. I got super sick and then I wasn't able to finish my degree. And then I didn't actually get my degree until 2017 after I dropped out of college because the actual board was like, hey, you were like 2 classes. And that thing that you asked for multiple times to have one course in terms of where it fits in your like degree completion get shifted to one over. So another one that's in your like general electives can slot into that one so that you can actually just be done with your degree. We're not going to do that. We weren't going to do that before you owed us 11 grand based off of the fact that you had to like drop out of 3 terms of college because you kept trying and then you were too sick to actually go to classes or do anything other than go to the hospital a bunch. So we made you pay 11 grand on top of all your medical expenses. Anyway, very salty about that. Very annoying. That's a longer story that I could get into and have gotten into. But the thing is, in 2014, I was applying for jobs and there were no jobs. There were no entry-level positions. There were none. For anything that was actually in my field that required training in my field. No one was hiring. There was a huge hiring freeze. And here's the other thing. That's part of why I went to college in 2010 is because I'd been working in a warehouse for 2 years. I'd almost died 50 times. I had an actual near-death experience that involved me getting hospitalized twice. And then I was like, maybe I should find something else to do with my life other than die in a warehouse. So I did that and I went to college. But like at that point, it was like you can do labor jobs. You can do retail labor jobs. Or you can go into a temp agency and basically be on call 24/7 for gigs that will pay you minimum wage, if that. And you will not get medical benefits. And you will not get anything else. And you will get harmed by it. Yeah, like I had like 50 near-death experiences in the warehouse. It was so fucked. There was like one time where like how do I put this? I used a bathroom. I used a bathroom. And I don't remember all of the details at this moment. Again, I haven't been fully medicated for like the last 3 days. I used a bathroom and I took a little longer than expected. And literally, if I had, oh God, how do I say this without it sounding really gross? Okay. I went pee. I went to wash my hands. I was like, no, I actually have to poop. And then I went poop. And then I washed my hands again. And then I walked outside of the bathroom. And I saw a collision in the walkway between like the bathroom area and the office area, which was separated in the warehouse. And there's a walkway that gets you to the workspace, like all the storage area and all the conveyor belts and all that thing. And I was working in the conveyor belt area. And like, if I had not, it was basically that kind of a situation where if I had just been like, I'll hold that and I'll go back, I just want to get this thing done, I would have been hit. I would have been in that walkway when that situation happened. It was one of those, I have a lot of those. So I've had a lot of near-death experiences where like, if something was like an inch to the left or the right, it would have like gone into my head. Or my throat. Exactly, Robo. Always poop on company time. But like, there's a bunch of those. There's like a bunch of incidents where like stuff fell off of racks because people slammed into them or people weren't looking where they were going. And so they like almost ran into me because they weren't following the safety standards. Or like where someone like knocked into an item that wasn't like locked in place with brakes properly. And so it rolled over and almost killed me. Or there's like a bunch of those. There's so many of those that happened in that warehouse. Like, I am convinced at this point where, like, I'm convinced of like two things. Um, the first thing is, I'm not supposed to be alive right now. By the numbers, it's not a matter of like, it is sheer Grumluck. It's not a matter of like I want to die or like I'm somehow suicidal. It's none of that. What it is I shouldn't be alive right now because like there's been a lot of stuff that like almost killed me. I'm fine, but if it had been like a little bit to the left or the right, like if the position of the incident had changed even slightly, or if my reaction hadn't been like exactly what it needed to be in that moment, I would be dead. There's a lot of those. And two, one thing that got me is I've had a lot of near misses in my life, and one of these days something may just knock me the fuck out, and no one will ever hear from me again. But also, here's the weird thing. I'm one of those people who has like this weird kind of concept of how reality works. When I was super young, like 3 years old, I accidentally pissed off an entire yellow jacket nest that was right next to the patio for my grandparents' place, and I got stung a bunch of times. I am allergic to bee stings. And I think that was my only freebie. But I also think there is a world in which I died as a 3-year-old child to like 30 different yellow jacket stings. I do think there is a reality where I definitely died there. And part of me feels like every branch in my timeline is one where I died from some bullshit. You would think I would have like a really deep-seated fear of like yellow jackets, wasps, and bees because I got swarmed by them as a child. But I was also like, I mean, I did basically just like smack there. This is the best case Grum timeline, which sucks because it's so bad in so many other ways. And like, I feel like if I had died, it wouldn't make any of those better. I would just also be gone. And a bunch of people wouldn't have met me. And, a bunch of the people whose lives I've made better wouldn't have been made better. And a bunch of people whose lives I'd made worse probably would have just gone worse in a different way, but it wouldn't have been by me. But like, I am fully convinced that there's a reality in each of these places where there's a bunch of like close calls where I definitely died. Like, there's a bunch of realities where I just straight up died. And I'm just in like, and I feel like any situation where I like lose consciousness is a branch point where I die and also don't die in realities. And I believe that I will stop being a conscious existing person once I run out of possibilities where I don't die. That does not make me effectively immortal. That means somewhere in the universe, there is a Grumlarkin lives remaining counter. And I don't get to see it. That's what that means. And that is fucking wild to my brain. That's just a thing that my brain in the back end just accepts. Like, yeah, I'm not going to die from that. And if I do, my consciousness will just sort of like shift into one of the ones where I didn't die until there are no more options where I don't die. That's how that works. Maybe that's how reality works. And we're in points at endpoints for people's lives where like this section of the universe is just mine because it is the one that almost kills me 50 million times. Until it does. And in that timeline, because I'm not dying, a bunch of other people are dying as a result of other actions and other things in a myriad network in the universe, because I'm not the center of the universe. That's an idiotic concept. Don't ever assume you're the center of the universe. I'm the center of my world. Like, my reality is centered on me. I have no choice but to exist in my own skull and with my own body. therefore I have to do it that way. But like my consciousness exists in this capacity along this through line of existence. And so like my reality will only end when there are no other options where I can come out alive. But as I will still die, and you will still die in all of your realities where like you don't have any other option but to die in that moment. But there will be overlap where a bunch of people who wouldn't necessarily have died in this timeline do necessarily die in this timeline because it's one of the ones in which they do that. So if we have like infinite parallel realities, and this is just one of them, then like my existence ending here doesn't mean that my consciousness ceases to be. It just means that my consciousness gets shunted into another one. I've never seen another Earth. I just deal with a lot of sci-fi bullshit and time travel bullshit in terms of like fictional editing. Not in terms of like my real life. I don't deal with it like sci-fi in reality. That's not how that works. I am a hobgoblin. There is some sort of magical reality bullshit that happens if you want to play with that bullshit, but like, I'm not here for that. I'm not here for that right now. I'm here to be honest with the fact that I think when you die, your consciousness shifts into a reality where you didn't die until you have no more options. It's not quite like reincarnation. It's more like you're sort of existing on all of those lines. I also think, I'm gonna snooze a second time just for this one fucking rant. I also think that like when people have, this is probably like a complete delusional thing, but I also am firmly of the belief that when people have like weird dreams where they see the future, they're actually just catching a glimpse of one of the futures from that parallel timeline structure that their brain is sort of like bumping into on a dimensional level, while it does its various subconscious cleanup work to like prune and rewire memories. Because, like, I've had a bunch of dreams where they are, in big fucking sarcastic air quotes, like, showing me the future. But it's like, yeah, I didn't know for sure. Like, okay, I worked at a supermarket from like a little after I had to drop out of college and when I got just better enough that I could, like, work for 2 hours without shitting myself. But I'd already dropped out of school because I couldn't like go to classes regularly because I had to worry about that in addition to other issues. And so I worked a labor job at a supermarket for like 2-ish years. And that's when the Animaster actually like got to know me good. And I got to know him good. I don't think it's that directed or that complete. But yeah, back at that point, which was like 2016, 2017, I think. So like before I got that job, I had a dream that involved like several people I had not met yet in that job. And I saw them, their face and everything. And it was like weird because I walked in and I was like, oh, this is the layout for that one dream I had. Am I getting this job? And the only difference was the color of the shirt. When I ran into the exact moment of that dream that I had. And it was such a, like, I have dreams that foretell the future, yada yada, but they're really fucking boring. So either my brain is hodgepodging potential, like, facts of stuff in my dreams, or I'm remembering a really vague thing and then my brain is just reconstructing the memory to be like really exact. But like I remember that person's face being in there. And then I also remember looking at that person who was already working there and being like, wait a fucking minute. Also, that made me way more relaxed going in the job interview, and I was able to like crack jokes and be charming and talk about stuff and get the job much more easily. Like, yeah, I think it's a common thing that you get dreams where you like see really mundane parts of reality, like you're eating a burrito and you see yourself having like an inane conversation of small talk with someone while you're eating a burrito, and that's the dream of the future that you get. Because that's the future I get. Like, I don't get, like, the world ending. I don't get me dying, like, as future dreams. I get, like, I'm working in a grocery store, and someone walks over and goes, "Oh, you got that? Okay, you got that." And then they walk away, and that's it. And like it's different from like there's like weird dreams where like weird dream stuff happens. And then there's the dreams that are so heavily grounded in reality where I'm like I wake up and I'm like, is that a dream? What the fuck? And it's wild. It's very fun. And if that is what the power to see the future is, and I somehow have that as a superpower, I have no way of controlling it, and it only shows me really mundane shit. Really boring shit. Yeah, see, like, those are normal dreams, Cobble. Those are reasonable dreams. I don't think that's gonna happen on Earth in this reality or at all. But like, but like, I've had a lot of dreams that are like really weird in that they are very accurate to a situation that I see in the future, and also they're entirely boring. I mean, that also makes fuck. We're okay. We're basically I have one snooze left, and I'm gonna save it in case I need it. Uh, but yeah, no, it might be you kind of like working on that and like having a creative concept there, which is also fun. I love those dreams that give you some material to work on creatively. But yeah, I will be back in like 3 minutes because we got to do ad break. That's how we keep the mid roll, the like the as soon as people show up ads. So I'll see you in a little bit. Enjoy continuing game chops. Stretch your legs, get some water, get some food, do what you got to do. If you got to go to bed, go to bed. It's okay. Um, Also, thank you for the raid. But yeah, I'm gonna go do stuff so that my back doesn't go out again. All right. Okay. No, we're not going to game yet. Anyway, um, God. Anyway, so dreams and how weird they are, and also like a weird metaphysical conceptualization of how survival in weird situations works. Because yeah, I do kind of get the feeling that like there's a reality in which I beefed it at 3 years old. Um, and I also wonder like how those worlds are doing. You know, I wonder how those realities are doing without me. And I think they're probably doing fine, honestly. Um, People die. It's what people do. I do think that all of the people that I have helped or been a position of support for probably would have found like other people, but they might not have been better people. They also might have gotten into worse situations. We have no way of knowing. But like exactly like in the grand scheme of things, like if I die today or tomorrow, a bunch of people are going to be sad, right? Um, and a bunch of people are going to like have to do the like the grieving process because I know that there are people who care about me. Um, but also like eventually they'll figure their shit out and they'll keep going. Like the world doesn't end if I die. I mean, that's totally fair. Um, but like the world will be okay if I die. And I won't be alive to give a shit about it. Which is weirdly comforting. Like I support other people and they support me, and that's wonderful. Um, but eventually I have to pay back the debt of living to the universe by dying and becoming other stuff. Like that's part of the deal. That's part of the like that's part of the standard, right? Like that's the death is the price of living. And part of that, I mean, yeah, no, that's the thing is like you'll have memories of those people. You'll have the memories of those people. You have the things they taught you or the things that they did with you or the ways they affected you. Um and like those are always going to be carried through. That's a thing. But like how do I put this? Back when I was suicidally depressed, I saw that as a thing that was comforting to me because it meant that if I died, it would be fine. And now that I don't want to die all the time, you know, because I've at least worked through that portion of the depression sandwich. Um, Now that I'm in like a better mental health state, and I look at that, it's still comforting to know. Cause like, again, the two things human beings reliably do is fuck up and die. Fucking up is how you learn, and dying is the price you pay for living. And what I mean by that is, you get to live and experience things and affect other people and be affected by other people and have sensations and life. You get to do stuff. You get to learn stuff. You get to see stuff. You get to like, you get to fuck with things. And it is fun. Learning new stuff and like getting to goof off and experience things with people, that's all great. And you should do it as much as possible. But ultimately, like, we are part of an ecological structure on a planet that is part of like a cosmological structure. Astronomical structure, however you want to word that. Um, we're part of a cosmos and we're like on a small section of the thing. Um, and part of the deal is we came from this system and we have to go back into this system some way. That's how it perpetuates itself, right? Um, Part of the cost of living is that you gotta die. And when you die, that death also has an effect on people. And that's a thing that I really wanted to ignore when I was like suicidally depressed, was the idea that I could affect people even after I was dead. Which is stupid because I'd watched people die and affect other people my whole childhood. You know? Like I was going to funerals for like far off family members I'd never even met, that my mom had never met, that my dad had never met, that like we didn't directly know. Like my grandparents kind of knew or had heard of or spoken to once before, and we'd have to go to a funeral for them. And then I'd hear people shit talking those people and also getting into a bunch of petty squabbles because that's how that side of the family worked. My mom's side of the family is super messed up, and I'm glad I don't talk to them anymore. But yeah, it was one of those things where like that's an effect. They were coping with the fact that this person was gone now. And they were grumpy about it because they had unfinished business with this person because they thought they would have all the time in the world because they didn't take death seriously. And there was one moment when I was actually recovering from the suicidal depression element of things where I was like, I don't want to be them, and I don't want to act like dying wouldn't make them do that. That's fucking naive and really fucking oblivious of me, and I'm better than that. I gotta be better than that. I gotta know that, like, just as one's life has an effect on things, so does one's death. You go back into a process physically, but also socially, because we are social animals and we live in a giant structure of, you know, people hanging out with other people. That's what humans do. Me dying will have an effect on people. And that's a thing that I didn't want to accept. Because it meant that I had to care about existing and like the impact I have on people. So part of me does hermit out because I don't want to have too many negative effects on people. And I know that like if I'm in a negative headspace, I can contribute to other people's negative headspaces. And I am like violently, excruciatingly aware of that. Yeah, it was like that. But it was like a lot of my family members were like really old because a bunch of them chose not to have kids. And then my grandparents on both sides had kids, and then my parents, of course, had me and my brother. Well, they had my brother and then me. And pretty sure these bloodlines end with us, unless my brother has kids at some point, because like he could still, but I don't know if he's gonna, and I know I'm not gonna. I kind of don't think I can. But that's neither here nor there. Not physically, I could probably like help produce a child and raise a child, but I don't think emotionally I would be a good parent from like 0 to 18. Yeah, like that's totally fair. For me, like, I don't pretend that I'm great or like somehow magically inoculated to the effects of grief and sorrow. I'm not here to pretend that. I'm not here to act like I'm better than it. It's just that I've spent so much time around death and people dying, and I've been around the rituals surrounding death and people dying a lot, that those things themselves don't have the effect on me. It's the person dying. Well, I mean, that sounds like a him problem. Like, here's the thing. If my parents wanted me, because I know my dad likes me now, but I also know for a fact that he didn't want me. Like, one kid was enough. One kid was a little too much. And my mom wasn't supposed to be able to have any more kids after that kid. Also, fun lore trivia for Grum Larkin. So, the elder, is my brother. And there was just enough time because we're like 3 years apart. We're just under 3 years apart. It's like 2 years, 9 months apart. Um, and there was another child that almost was, if not for a miscarriage. Um, that miscarriage also almost killed my mom, which means I wouldn't have existed. That's another thing. There's so many weird things that like almost made me not exist and then almost made me die way earlier than now. Um, anyway, but like there could have been a third brother back when I was, a brother and not a goblin in terms of gender. But like, there's that thing, and like I was told about that when I was like a kid, um, and like I don't feel bad about it. I'm just like I know for a fact that I am like I exist in spite of the fact that my parents did not work well together as a couple and were not ready to be parents. And it is only because of my own mom's spiteful stubbornness that I exist. Because my dad and his parents were both pushing for an abortion. And also, here's some family drama from my past. Um, so like, my parents were gonna just have the one kid, and I don't think they were even planning on having the one kid. And my brother had there was there were some complications in the delivery process. He's fine, but basically, my mom was in a position where they were pretty sure she wasn't gonna be able to have any kids ever again. And then she got pregnant again, and they had a miscarriage, and that sucked. And she was like, okay, there's no way I'm having kids because it's got to be all nothing but scar tissue in this area. It's not gonna be a thing. And then I existed suddenly, and my dad was like, "There's no way, you must be cheating on me." And then his parents were like, "Well, you can't stay married to someone who's cheating on you. That's not cool." And I'm pretty sure that was part of the impetus for the divorce. And then my grandfather on my dad's side actually like went to see the child and was then like saw that I was of my family lineage very obviously, and he was like, "Oh, my son has lied to me and is a little bitch." Um and got really mad at my dad. um I learned all of this as an adult. I didn't know this as a child. Um but like somehow they managed to patch things up after divorce, and they were kind of friends before my mom died. And like, oh my god. So one of the worst things if you're divorced, if you get a divorce, even if you hate your ex's guts, don't shit talk them to your kids. Don't do that. That's a garbage thing. Cause like I don't think my dad was ready for the responsibility of being a parent. I don't think my mom was either. I don't think they were good at being parents. Um, but they both put in work once the situation was upon them. Like once the situation happened where there were children, they, did their best, and their best was not good. Thank you for the hydrant in the stretch. I'll do that again. Like their best wasn't good. Like I didn't have a good childhood. I had a really emotionally fucked up childhood. But like even though I know they were kind of fucking awful people and awful parents, um, they still tried to not be. And I do respect them for that. I do not forgive them for the things they did to my brother and I in terms of like emotional damage and like weird complexes and just absolute abject neglect because they didn't understand how this works. But like, I will honor the attempt that was made in spite of all that. And like, I do suspect that my dad genuinely believed that my mom was cheating on him. I do genuinely think that he actually believed that and wasn't just trying to get out of being a parent. I think he just wasn't a secure person and thought that something was going on. There's other stuff to that because like my mom realized that she was gay as hell and was like, I think I'm gay as hell. And I think my dad being my dad is a fucking pervert. I'm just going to be honest. My dad is a pervy old man and has been a pervy old man since he was in his 20s. A good portion of my sluttiness does come from him. I think I get it tragically from both of them. But also like everyone on both sides of the family are kind of whores in my family, if I'm being honest. Like there's a lot of sluts in my family. There's been a lot of sluts for a lot of generations. Like, I think my mom only having 2 kids is an outlier because even her sister has like 3 or 4. And then on my like dad's side, one of my uncles has at least 2 kids. And then there's the uncle who now lives in Mexico and is married to a lady who's like half his... This lady is like 10 years older than me. And he's in his 60s. And it's weird. It was weird the whole time getting to know her. Because she was like... I'm going to be honest. She was like babysitting age when I met her. Oh yeah, there's like diabetes and heart failure and cancer out the wazoo and Alzheimer's and mental illnesses galore. There's all sorts of shit wrong with my family. And I think part of that is poor emotional regulation that leads to a lot of sluttiness. And of all of the things that I could pick up from my family, I think tragically it is the sluttiness. Like the sluttiness is the main staple of my family lines for several generations back in multiple families. Yes, looking for both an outlet or an inlet. Because like, no, we don't need to talk about that one. That one's not important. That one's not important. I don't need to talk about that one. That's a really specific portion. We can talk. No, fuck it. Okay, so, Spouse Luck and I, we are polyamorous. We're not actually actively like looking for more people at the time, but like, there are some people that like I do stuff with, and there's some people that she does stuff with, and there are some people where like we would be. Here's the thing. As a slut and as someone who's not monogamous, like, if you know me IRL, don't take this the wrong way. Ever since I was young, I have been open to, doing stuff with my friends. There's a difference between being open to the activity or the possibility and actively desiring it or seeking it out. Huge difference between those two things. But I've also understood from a very young age that most people think those two things are the same thing. Most people consider those things to be the same thing. If you're open to it, you want to do it, and then you're looking for it, and you're trying to make it happen, and I am not. Okay? I have fucked very few of my friends. I fucked very few of my friends. Like, not counting Spouse Larkin. we're friends, but we're also married. You know, it's a whole thing. Like one, two. I fucked two of my friends. Out of all of my friends ever in the world that I've ever had, I think I fucked two of my. Oh wait, no. In high school, there was a third one. Yeah, it's almost like we're both in a relationship. Um, but like, not counting relationships as a thing that you like get into that, and then you're like actually actively like trying to help someone grow and improve as a person and like be a part of their life and help and like and be open to them like also partially shaping you with the experience of living together and being together or doing things together and like being around each other a bunch. And all that other relationship stuff. Like outside of relationships, yeah, like three friends. But like Cobble, I'm gonna say this right now. The trick the trick to finding someone that you can actually make a relationship work with is finding someone that you can tolerate, but also someone that you enjoy tolerating. That's the trick. Because I'm not going to lie. Sometimes Spouse Larkin does some wild shit. Just last night. So Spouse Larkin goes out onto the patio that we have and will occasionally smoke a weed. It's legal here. But she does dabs mostly. And so she has this like blowtorch thing and like the like glass pipe setup, the yada yada, for running and doing dabs. And she'll do like tiny ones to like take an edge off every once in a while. And last night, she was doing that. And it's the late summer and it's starting to get colder. The wind is picking up a little bit. Yes, it's called enjoying being around a person regardless of antics. But like this person who is mildly stoned, and has a horrible fear of spiders, was out on the patio and saw several spiders up on the ceiling and was not hallucinating the spiders. They were really spiders and they were definitely up on the ceiling. And her solution to this was to aim the blowtorch at the spiders that are on the ceiling. We're in a wood building. We're in a wood building. Don't do that. Don't do that. That's not a thing you do. We don't have our fire extinguisher is in the stairwell for the building, which is not, I don't think that's actually up to fire code, but it is technically fire code. If it's a residence, it's supposed to be in every unit. You're supposed to have them. But they have them because the way these are set up in the stairwells, because the stairwells double as fire stairs because they're all stone and so they can't burn. And all the support structures for those are metal and stone so they can't burn. So all of our stairwells are fire stairs and there's a central stairwell unit. And so you have like a number of floors. Like for all of these buildings, there's like 2 to 4 floors. And all of them have stone stairs. And all of them have stone and steel framework stairs that aren't going to fall apart and aren't going to catch fire. Yeah? Okay. And in those stairwells, there are multiple fire extinguishers. One for every floor. But in my mind, that's not enough and you should have one in every apartment. Every apartment should have a fire extinguisher. Every unit. Every unit should have a fire extinguisher. And like... I have a fire extinguisher in this apartment. Doesn't work. It's not just that it ran out of stuff. It's that at one point it had to be used, and the way the person that used it, who's not trained in its use and is not used to using it, used it. That also wasn't Spouse Larkin. It was my previous roommates because this fire extinguisher came with me. That fire extinguisher, the pull tab section of the situation, stopped being able to go back in, and we stopped being able to refill it as a result because it will never actually seal, and so anything that you use to actually repressurize the thing will also just cause it to slowly leak out, and so it won't ever actually be at full pressure, and it's a huge pain in the ass. So we need to get a new one. And I basically, from my being a lump of ADHD and depression yesterday, looked over, because my desk is in the corner of a room, and to the right of me is the like window. We have a sliding glass door to the patio, and it's the sliding glass for the patio. And I looked over because I saw she was standing and raising something up toward the ceiling. And I saw her aiming a mini blowtorch kind of thing directly at a spider. And listen, I get it. I understand. Okay, it's an arachnophobia thing. She wants them dead as quickly as possible. But like, her defense in this situation was the fire was far enough away that it wasn't going to produce, like, there wasn't any blistering of the paint or anything like that. And I'm like, that doesn't mean much, because you can go to from zero to on fire real fast. It doesn't matter. But I was like, hey, don't do that. I can only say this nice one time. Please don't do that. Oh my god, don't do that. What the fuck? And it was like, I can't, because the next time it has to be, why the fuck are you holding a blowtorch at the ceiling? All right? And that's also, yeah, that's the other thing. Like, it doesn't have to look like it's burning on the outside. If you're heating it up enough to combust on the inside, and it's super dry, and I know it is, because this building is more than 20 years old, like, there's no way it's not. It's so dangerous. It's so dangerous. Spiderwebs are so flammable. Why would you do this? 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 So I was like, hey, you gotta buy a fire extinguisher, a new fire extinguisher for this apartment. It has to be done today. You do it today. If you're gonna do that, make sure there's a fire extinguisher that I can grab and put out the fire quickly. Please. For the love of God. Don't do that shit. And she was having a freak out because there's a bunch of spiders. And so I was like, go in and like, please. They're like $20. Okay, they're $20. It's money, but like, it's not a lot of money. You can get a universal fire extinguisher for like 20 to 25 bucks. Pretty much anywhere. Regardless of sales tax, regardless of anything else. You can, like, they're very cheap to produce. They're very easy to find. All of them are reliable pretty much all the time. They're good. I will happily just have one under the sink in the kitchen. That's totally fine by me. I'm very happy to do that. And I like, listen, I grabbed a giant cardboard box and I like swept out all the fucking spiders and all the spider webs, because somehow I don't touch the patio generally. I don't clean the patio very often, so I don't deal with it. And Spouse Larkin does not fuck with the patio very much either. And so, like, there's some cobwebs in the corners that I haven't fucked with. And there's some spider webs and shit I haven't fucked with. And I should. And I did last night after I I almost shit my heart directly out of my body when I saw her just holding a blowtorch. And it wasn't touching, the fire was not touching the spider or the ceiling, because she is too short, thankfully. But like, I respect the energy of kill it with fire. I do. But you can't do that. You can't be doing, like, listen, I can deal with spiders. I can deal with the spiders. They don't bug me. All right. I will deal with the spiders. I will deal with the spiders. That's part of why she married me, is that I don't have any problem with spiders. I don't give a fuck. Spiders are weird. They move kind of weird. We don't have song requests here. I'm sorry. But yeah, like, that's the thing. And like, that is, I'm going to be honest, the first time that Spouse Larkin has done something that would actually endanger the apartment as a space, like, ever. Like, she's burned some stuff on a stove once, because there's too much stuff going on and she got distracted and forgot that she was like boiling water, and then the like pan melted out, because the burner was overvolted and kept breaking that stove. So we replaced the whole stove and also that pan. It's kind of cute in a way that I live here. I don't want this building to burn down. Like, it's the one thing that I am consistently concerned about, because there's a number of people who just sort of don't care about basic fire safety around here. And so I always have to assume that the risk of fire is great. We have rental insurance. So like, if this gets torched, my computer will probably be able to be replaced. All of my equipment will be able to be replaced. My clothes will be able to be replaced. That's probably fine. It's fine. But I don't want to have to go through the paperwork process of that. And I don't want to have to find another place to live when I don't have a place to live. That sucks, and I don't like the idea. Also, if you want to subscribe to me during September, that's a great time to do it because it's 25% off. And also, I would love to have a regular paycheck from this or anything, but like especially this because I really enjoy it. Anyway, if you're watching this on recording, that's for you. Like, come over to the Twitch, subscribe, give me some money, please, please, pretty please. All right. Anyway, also just as important, like go check out the artists that did all my stuff, please. They also work for a living and need money. Anywho, so that's a thing. But like, I don't want to deal with that. And I was like, I can only say this nice once without talking to you like you're a fucking goob. Yes, Yuki. That's the wrong one. That's the wrong Yuki that you've shouted out. That's Yucky. The correct Yuki is this Yuki. She's been playing Horizon Forbidden West, and I've been lurking on that. I don't want to spoil anything for her because she hasn't beaten the game. But yeah, you should check her out. She's been playing Horizon Forbidden West. Like, she does some like evening stream stuff, and it's very nice. Hey, thank you for monies. You don't gotta, but I do appreciate it. Thank you. Also, now you can escape ads. This is wonderful. But yeah, it's just like, here's the thing. I'll put up with that. It's not a problem to put up with that. All right. Did it endanger the entire apartment? Realistically, no. It did a little bit, but not realistically enough to be like super concerned about it. But I was like, there's 3 rules. There's 3 rules in any place that you live. All right. Don't smash holes in the walls. Don't set any part of your building on fire if you live in it. And do not, under any circumstances, build a drug lab in a space that you also sleep or live in any capacity. Don't fucking do it. All right? These are the basic biohazard safety systems that you should put in place, and chemical hazard safety systems that you should put in place. Oh, yeah, no. When I was a kid, I lived in a small town that it was like an old industry town for like metal and like wood processing stuff. It's Oregon. Like, it's going to be a thing. But like all of those things shut down. And so some people having nowhere else to go either went into the warehousing stuff, either went into service industry stuff in other towns and had to commute forever in order to get anywhere. Or they started making drugs. And I lived in an area where when I went to school as a kid, I rode the bus, and there was an entire apartment complex that you just learned that you don't loiter around as a kid. You don't do it. Not because anything bad would happen to you, but because it smelled like burnt aluminum all the time. And if you know, you know. But you didn't hang out around there. One time I got like a hot chocolate with some coffee in it from the 7-Eleven down the way, and then I was walking back home, and one of them was like, hey, so there were some people standing outside, and they were like, hey, we got in that cup, and I was like, cocoa and coffee, and they were like, I will give you $5 for that right now, and I was like, deal, and then I went back and got another one for myself. And that was the only interaction I had with the people that made the place smell like aluminum, burnt aluminum. But one day while I was riding on the bus in the morning, in the start of morning, right? Early morning, I stood out of the bus stop, and like the bus came, it had to go down the street and back up the street because it was a big suburban neighborhood kind of thing. And I was just in the shitty apartments that were like there as part of the thing to make it more affordable housing. But I got on, and there's 2 stops before my stop where like 5 people show up. One of them is right at the corner, like right before like the main split for all the suburb subsections. And then there's another stop. And we like, when we got on, like there were like 6 other kids on the bus, and they were all doing their thing, hanging out in their section of the bus where they like to hang out. And me and my friends, who, you know, were also my neighbors, like we hung out on the bus. And so we were in our spot hanging out on the bus, and they were like whispering about something, and I wasn't paying attention, but some of my bus mates who were also like at the same stop as me were. And when we rolled back out to leave the area and head towards school in the morning, Uh, we saw like 10 squad cars and a bunch of dudes lined up on the sidewalk in handcuffs or zip ties. I don't know. I didn't see their bags. And like crime scene tape everywhere. And like they made a huge bust. And then when we came back the afternoon, there was like dumpsters and dudes in like hazmat suits doing stuff. My favorite part of the story is, so it turns out these people had basically been slowly but surely moving in into an entire unit of apartments that was all stuck together. And they'd been knocking out walls and remodeling the whole place to turn it into a giant drug factory. And they would like scare off or piss off or annoy other people to the point where those people would move out. And then they would make sure that their buddies were the only people applying to move in. And that was how they did it. And it had been going on for years. They had turned a bathroom into a non-caustic, like, chemical production space. For various reasons. I got to see photos of the inside. Partly because I would often walk up to the 7-Eleven and come back. And there were a bunch of people there, and there were a bunch of legal examiners there, and the legal examiners were like, no, I grew up on the West Coast entirely. But everyone, okay, anyone I talk to in like a doctor's, in like a medical facility, asks me if I'm from Boston. Because apparently I sound a little bit like I'm from Boston, and I also sound a little bit like I'm from like Tennessee or Georgia. And people from those locations always ask me if I'm from those locations, and I'm not. But like, I sound a little bit like I'm from those general regions, sometimes. But like, I would chat with those people, and in a gross dereliction, because I am a child, they were like, "Oh hey, this kid is from around here and looks like a weird kid, so I can probably talk to them and be totally," and they were, because I kept my fucking mouth shut. But like, sometimes like the people who were in like the hazmat suits or were in like full masks and gloves and shit and were wearing clothes that they were definitely like not looking to keep and were probably going to throw away instead of wash ever again, would come out with like photos and stuff and be like, "Oh my God, I found this thing." Here's the best part. After all of that, they had to do this huge remodel of the entire apartment complex. There were like 6 giant, like semi-truck style dumpsters that went through this place over the course of like 8 months. And then after all of those 8 months, there was another 6 months that happened. And it was the start of a new school year. And I went out in the morning the next year, and I stood at my bus stop and I had coffee because it was like my junior, senior year. And I gave some coffee to one of my friends because we were both doing, we were both going to be at school for a while because we were both in the theater department at that point. And we were both just sort of like surviving. And there was no one on the bus before us. No one made it in before us. And I'm like, that's kind of weird. And then, as we finish picking up all the other kids, we head over and they turn left where they normally go straight through. And we see again, like a dozen dudes on the sidewalk in handcuffs and another ton of squad cars. And it had happened a second time. For the same, it might have been like the neighboring apartment structure that was a bunch of buildings. But like, it was again, and all of the kids that were normally at the stop that was at the corner, because it was like they'd expanded their like closing off the area this time because it was like more of the buildings, or possibly just a building that was on the other side of the complex. And so they couldn't use that stop at the road. And so the kids had to like go to the next stop over. And so we just didn't, because they had no way of knowing until they got out in the morning and realized that their bus stop spot was like police taped. So like those kids just didn't go to school. They had to call in like coppered, I guess. Or find another way to get there. I didn't see any of them. When we got on the bus, I don't remember if they were there that time. But we got on the bus and the police tape was gone for like the area around it. But like there were still dumpster and there was hazmat people again. And like it was the same. And the second time I went over there as I was walking past, and like one of my favorite parts of this is I'm pretty sure it was the same company, and it was the same like crime scene, like evidence collection crew. And like, no, that's the thing of it. They're still the same apartment complexes now. Only they're remodeled on the inside and they still look shit on the outside. And my stepmom moved into one of them temporarily. Like after my mom died, she needed somewhere else to stay. And so she moved. And like she stayed there. And I was like, remember when that building across the space from here and that other building across the place from here like got busted for being like, I don't know, meth labs or crack factories or something? And she was like, yeah, I remember that. And if I smell anything weird, I'm getting the fuck out of here. I'm not even waiting. I'm just getting the fuck out of here. Right away. I'm wise to it. And I'm like, yeah, do you think the owners of this place are wise? No, they're not wise. Either they were in on it or they were just stupid, oblivious, and completely neglectful. And I'm pretty sure it was the second one. And it was so good. But like, yeah, in my early and middle, my middle and late high school years, honestly, like that was a thing that just was a thing that happened. There were like dozens of drug busts throughout the city and throughout the county and the neighboring counties. There was a huge wave of crackdowns on like specifically like meth, like drugs in general, but specifically meth, throughout the entirety of like the Willamette Valley. And like that wasn't even the only thing that happened in terms of like me seeing situations where someone was definitely making drugs, because there's also still, probably to this day, there's an entire like there's a section of this city that the cops don't go to. Like not even the cops go there. You will never get caught for speeding in that section. You will never get caught for anything. And it's a bunch of really trashy looking buildings with really nice cars outside. And that's one of the ways that you know someone deals drugs. It's one of the ways you knew before a bunch of drugs got legalized and also like various things happen. If you see a bunch of shitty apartments and really nice cars, you know two things. That is either someone who served in the military or a drug dealer. Those are the two people who get really nice cars but don't live in nice places. And it's not like legitimate nice cars necessarily. They can be like super fucking like race kitted out for like fucking street racing shit. It can be like weird hot rodded shit of any stripe really. But yeah, if you see really fancy or like really expensive looking cars outside of really bad apartments, you know that's an area where a bunch of people, some of them might be military, some of them might be in a less than legitimate kind of business. I'm just going to say that. All right. Now here's the thing. If they aren't fucking with you, you don't fuck with them. And you're fine. Literally, you are fine. Like, If you aren't knocking on their door, walking around, looking at their fucking property all sketch like, they're not going to see you as a threat to them. If you're just passing through, they don't give a fuck. That's different in rural areas where you like never run into people by accident. Like you have to like be driving and like find your way up their driveway in order to get there. Like those sorts of places that are drug labs. Those are for sure like people who will shoot on sight. And for them, probably like they're committing crimes. They're going to shoot you. But also if it's a rural area and you see someone with like a really nice truck, that's different. Nice trucks are different from nice cars. I want to be clear on this. If you see a truck, that person probably just does a different kind of job, especially if the truck looks nice but used. That's probably just a construction worker who's like got some good union pay. That's a different thing. But like if you see like race style cars, yeah, like a farmer or something, like they'll have a newer truck and it'll still be covered in dirt and they'll clean it up as best they can. But like you'll know if it's a farm person based off of like the size of the truck and also like how used it actually looks. How scraped up the fucking like back little like lift point door is. If that shit looks like it's lost most of its annealing or enameling, it's definitely like a farmer construction worker. If it looks super shiny, it's just a big ass fucking truck. It's probably some dude who doesn't like feel very secure in his manliness or something. But like, also thanks for the hydrant, the stretch. I'm doing those. Oh, the popping. I don't know if you can hear the neck pops. They're not happening every time, but they're nice. But yeah, like my hometowns, I lived in 2 different cities because again, parents divorced. And technically I lived in like 6 cities because my dad's job was like kitchen stuff. He's a chef and he also does like business consult work or did business consult work. Think Gordon Ramsay, but like no TV crew. And also like sort of like getting called in to like deal with, usually he got hired on a temporary basis to be the asshole who fired a bunch of people. That's the main thing that he picked up, is that he ended up going to places and then a bunch of the people wouldn't be doing any work. And so he would be the asshole who fired them. And also he's a huge germaphobe, so he'd be like, that's not up to health code, that's not up to health code, that's not up to health code, you fix all of these things, or I call the health department on you. It's weird that that's also a family tradition that I've picked up, of like weirdly sketchy jobs that are kind of legitimate, but mostly not. He also ran a catering business. And then he got into the like medical marijuana business, and then that stopped being super profitable. So he went back to like, he made it like a confections, like a bakery business after that. And that's the last thing that he was up to since I've last spoken with him. And I don't know if he's still doing that. It's been a while. I should call him at some point to make sure he's not dead. He's definitely not dead, but like, you know what I mean? But yeah, my dad did a lot of like weird jobs that didn't make a lot of sense, but most of it was just, he's a professional chef and he got hired to a bunch of places and then he would be there for 2 months. And it's not that he got fired or that he quit. It's just that like he was done working there, which tells me that like what I know of what he was doing, what I saw of him, what he was doing when he was at work, when I would like be young and he didn't have anyone to like watch my brother and I. Listen, there's 2 things I can't tell my dad. The first one is that I'm not cis. That's the first one. That's going to be, I can't tell him that. He can go to his grave not knowing that information. The second one that I cannot tell him under any circumstances is that I'm a VTuber. I cannot tell him that I'm a VTuber. I can't do it. It's not that he won't accept me. It's that I can't explain that to him without dying inside. Like, I already made the mistake when he like so Spouse Larkin and I got into an awkward situation once where I had a partner who was not Spouse Larkin at the same time that Spouse Larkin and I were clearly married. And that was a thing. And my dad found out by seeing me with the other partner in a place going on a date. Right? And that is a concern. But he didn't say anything about it. But I also saw him and I didn't know if he saw me. So, like, to head off the, hey, don't cheat on your fucking wife conversation, which he would rightly have had with me, like, that would have been a worthwhile ass whooping. I wouldn't have blamed him for it. But I was like, hey, I gotta be honest about something. We are not monogamous. And he was like, oh, okay. And he tried to, like, talk about that. And he does not get it. He also gets real uncomfortable. Like, the other partner was a lady at the time. There was also a point in time where my other partner was was a dude. My other partner was a dude and was kind of in the zone of, like, it's really obvious that this is a very gay situation whenever we're around each other. And I'm really glad my dad didn't see that one. He just can't get behind the idea of, like, people being okay with fucking other people and, like, dating other people. Like, polyamory isn't all sex. Okay? It's not. But, like, that's a component. It can be, certainly. And I don't think... The problem is... this actually goes back to the part where, like... Part of the reason why he and my mom got divorced was because, like, thought she was cheating on him. She wasn't. But the idea that someone could be cool with the concept of their partner going and doing stuff with other people, I think just doesn't work in his brain. And I already made the mistake of telling him that. I haven't told him about the bisexuality. But I'm pretty sure my mom did, because she asked me when I finally met up with her again and she was in the hospital, and was like, so you're married now? And I was like, yeah. And she was like, and you're also bi? Because my brother is an idiot and doesn't know how to keep his mouth shut. And I was like, yeah. Yeah. And she was like, okay. And I'm pretty sure she either told my dad or my brother told my dad about the bi thing. That's already more information than I wanted my dad to know. I already made this mistake one time of telling him any element about my sexual orientation or sex life in general. And that's too much. That went too far. Like, I think my dad would be okay with it. I think my dad would handle it, but I don't think he would handle it in anything other than the most awkward fucking way possible. Because my dad is a really... yeah. I don't think that person is here ever. But, like... I can't imagine that person... I don't think that person still follows me, and I don't think that person shows up here to hang out ever. So I think you're fine. That's its own business. But yeah, no, like, it's one of those things where, like... For me, as someone who is not very... As an aromantic individual, I have to snooze my shit yet again. I'm yapping for so long today. As someone who is not monogamous, someone who is open to the idea of, like, doing a favor, in parentheses, sexual, for one's friends, as the case arises. And again, I gotta emphasize, being willing and open to that is not the same as actively pursuing it. or considering that as like the main thing on the table whenever someone needs like emotional or personal assistance in some capacity. It's not the same thing. Not the same thing. There are several friends I know who are either A, too straight, or B, would make it way too weird. If I so much as put that on the table ever. I'm not stupid. That's not a thing that you normally bring to your friends. All right? It's not. There are some friends I would consider it and be okay with if they were gonna not make it weird. You know? Like, that's a thing. But for me, as someone who does not do the romance, I'm an aromantic individual. Which is wild that I'm like, yeah, but here's the thing. That's the thing people want in relationships. They want romance. They want that. For me, a lot of things that fall under romance are like things that you could and maybe should do for your friends. Like be emotionally present for them and like hold space for them when they need it. I mean, that's its own business. Like online relationships are a different situation. I don't think I would ever be able to do an online only relationship. I cannot stand the notion of like getting fully into a long distance relationship. I could not do that. I don't think I could ever do that in a useful fashion. I've tried it twice now, once by choice and once by necessity, because Spouse Larkin got a job in a different state and we just kind of like had to deal with that. I held down the fort so that if it turned tits up, and it did, she could come back once the contract was over, and that happened, and it worked out okay. But like, I don't think I could do that again. And like every long distance relationship that I have seen either becomes not long distance. Yeah, it was a horrible fucking time. Like, God, yeah. There's still pollen outside, and it's making my whole face itch. But like, I don't think I do that again. Like I had like a long distance relationship in high school, which honestly always sounds like something fake for people. But like, I met this person, and she was fun, and we were kids, and like, I asked her out, and she was like, "My parents are moving out of state, and I have to move with them, obviously." And I was like, "Ah, do you want to like do this thing long distance?" And that was the one by choice. And that sucked. It sucked the whole time. And every relationship I've seen that was long distance, other than that one, because that one, we met in person after like a year of being together in long distance, and she was super clammed up and super not comfortable with anything. Any kind of like, even hand holding was like a bit much for her. Yeah. And like, I don't think I could meet someone online and then want to date them online. That does not make any, I can't do that. Like, I'm already garbage keeping in touch with friends through online stuff. I couldn't do that. And all of the relationships that are long distance that I've seen always have either a goal of going to not being long distance anymore, or an understanding of an expiration date on that relationship and a respect for it. In the healthiest situations. And in the less healthy situations, they end in disaster repeatedly. Like, I've never... God, can I... Oh, God. It's like part of it's the outside of my nose. And I don't want to like... I know I don't have hand tracking, but I still don't want to like pick my nose. That's gross. Like, I don't want to like pick my nose and then touch my keyboard. That's disgusting. But like, it's very itchy, and it's itchy on the inside, and I need to do something to take care of that. So I'm probably going to do that during this ad break. That's going to happen in like less than a minute. But like, no, it's not a matter of whether or not you can see me. It's a matter of whether or not something gets on my hands that I don't want on my hands. And there's no situation in putting my fingers in my nose that I will be happy with whatever happens there. All right. It's that picking one's nose is, or scratching the inside of one's nose, or however you want to do things with fingers in one's nose, are not pleasant things to do if you cannot wash your hands immediately. Or at least, like, I don't know, like, use a device for that. Like you can use tissues and do the same thing, and it's way better for you. And doesn't involve using like fingernails that can scrape up and like cause damage to the inside of your nose and like do other stuff. Like, there's just a bunch of reasons not to do that. Don't do that. I love that that's the tangent I went on while we were talking about long distance relationships. All right, I'm gonna go on break. I'll see you in a little bit. Okay, I'm back. All right, that's the game section again. Dagnabbit. All right, so okay, so we're talking about what were we talking about? That's the one problem with the 3-minute break. That's my one problem with taking a full 3-minute break every hour. I know it makes things easier so that people don't have to deal with ads as much, and I do appreciate that. But like, yeah, relationships and like long distance relationships and like how you make relationships work. Um, the way you make relationships work is you find someone that you enjoy and who enjoys you, and spending time around each other. And then you learn how to like be around each other better. That's it. That's a relationship. And like for me, I'm not a romantic person. I'm an aromantic person, very specifically. Um, I'm if I'm being honest, I don't think I'm cut out for like the super romantic relationshipy stuff. Cause like if If someone bought me flowers, I would be very uncomfortable. Right? Like I'd be super uncomfortable. That's a weird thing to do in my brain. Someone gives me a gift, it's weird. It's weird to me. It's wild to me. Um but like people do that. That's a normal thing people do. Like I have a very I have a very weird take on this because I know I'm not statistically in the most common denominator for like my assessments and my feelings and my predilections on the matter. Um See, here's the thing. I am not in the habit of receiving gifts. I'm not. It doesn't matter if it's my birthday, doesn't matter if it's Christmas, doesn't matter if whatever. I don't give I'm not used to it. It doesn't feel normal. It just doesn't. Like if someone made like a made like a mixtape or like got me flowers or did something like that, I would be weirded out. That sounds deeply personal and deeply uncomfortable to me. Don't know why. It's kind of how my brain's wired. But also the idea of like, that's the weird part of the aromanticism thing, for sure. If someone gives me a gift to tell me that they like me, that's weird. You can just say the words, or you could like do some sort of activity with me, in order to like show that. Yeah, right? Like, I don't listen. Here's the thing. Spouse Larkin is a music teacher. I don't commonly listen to music. Music was not a part of my youth, or my adolescence, or my early adulthood. It just wasn't. I would be taken to concerts of things and orchestra stuff, and I was shown, like, musicals and operas and things, and all that business by my grandparents on my dad's side. But music, my own taste in music doesn't exist. Yeah? And I married someone whose profession is playing music and also teaching other people how to play music, and also how to learn and improve at playing music in multiple instruments. I've always had respect for music as a thing that people enjoy, but like, I didn't learn to like it until I met Spouse Larkin. If I'm being totally honest. Like it literally took like kind of like seeing it from her perspective to like appreciate and enjoy music. That was a thing. Because music is just music. It's just something that people put on while they're doing other stuff. It's the replacement for absolute silence in the background of places and things and activities. It's how people keep themselves from losing their minds in the monotony of like driving, or like hammering nails for 8 hours to 10 hours a day. Like, that's what music is for. That's the purpose that people use music for. There's like high art music, like symphony orchestras and that sort of thing, that aren't really high art music. They're just music from a different time period. And there's like musical theater and operas, and those are also just like, you know, entertainment purpose music. But like, I will never understand. I will never understand like like idol worship of musicians. Like, I will never understand the Taylor Swift craze. I will never understand people's love of like that shit. Like whether it's like her or like fucking Chapel Roan, fun music, great music. I I don't get idolizing those people, and it seems to be an integral part of enjoying music for a lot of people. And that's weird to me because I thought that music is a thing that you enjoy. You go out and see the people who perform the music that you enjoy the most, sure. Um, that you have like a passionate enjoyment of listening to. Like I would go and listen to like Chapel Run. I would. I would go to a concert of hers. That's not a problem. I would go see the band Ghost. I did get to see the band Ghost. It was great. It's a great show. They do an excellent show. It is entertaining. It is fantastic. You should do it if you can. But I'm going there for the show. Other people go there for the music specifically. And I'm like, well, yeah, they're a performer. And they're like, no, the music. I want to hear these songs. And I'm like, I don't give a fuck about the songs. The person is a good performer. I want to see them like do a show. Right? Like this is why I wonder whether or not I have autism in addition to the ADHD, by the way. Because like that doesn't make any fucking sense. I'm like, you don't care about the person making the music. You just care because you like dancing to the music. That makes no fucking sense to me. Yeah, like Hosier. Hosier's a dude who's always political in his music. All of his music has some sort of political element to it. All of it does. Tons of people love the songs, but hate the fact that he has some sort of political element to his existence that he advertises openly. Right? But for me, it's the opposite. I wouldn't give a shit about the music if I didn't think the entertainer had something useful or like interesting to say. Right? I don't know Taylor Swift's opinion on anything political ever. Why would I care what the music does? You know, like that's a weird thing to me that you like that's a thing of like you idolize these people instead of like look at them as performers who are like putting stuff other forward. Yeah, and that's the thing is like I've enjoyed music from specific artists, but the music itself can just be whatever music. It's fine. It doesn't need to be especially great in my mind. Like I'm going to be honest, I'm running Game Chops in the background. All of these are like game covers for the most part. Oh yeah, go do what you gotta do. But like Game Chops is a great channel to have as background music. But like I don't think I would go and like just listen to this when I'm not doing something else. Right? Like I wouldn't just sit down and listen to this. There's some albums of music where you sit down and you listen to it because like it warrants the attention. But like there's a ton of music that just doesn't. And there's a lot of bands and a lot of groups that make their whole like catalog out of music that you don't really need to pay attention to, or that like it gets weird when you do pay attention to it. And I don't know how to deal with that. And it's never mattered to me. But like Spouse Larkin loves all kinds of music, listens to all kinds of music, listens to some really weird shit too, and I'm a fan of it. And I'm like, oh, okay. Like there's a couple of groups or artists where she listens to them, and I'm like, that person is speaking English, but they're not saying anything with the words. They're not. It's like they made a word jumble into a song. There's no message out of this. There's no story to be told. There's no nothing. There's no like, hey, here's a feeling I have, and I explain it with a lot of like metaphor or what. There's none of that. It's just like random phrases of English. Granted, this is also the person. This is music that the person likes who like learns multiple foreign languages just so she can read smut in their original language, which is so fucking good and so fucking cool. But like I don't know, not to go into that for too much detail. Spouse Larkin is the reason why I enjoy music properly and more often in this day and age. And I wouldn't have that in my brain if I hadn't spent time around her and actually like heard what she was like into and like learned what she likes about music itself, both performing and listening. I get the thing. And like, and she brings that to like all of her, like all the kids that she teaches, which I think is fucking fantastic. But yeah, I don't think I could do long distance relationships. It's just not for me. I'm welcome back. I'm not opposed to people doing that. Like if it works for you, it works for you. I couldn't do that. I need to physically be around someone if we're in like a relationship of some manner more serious. Like with friends, here's the thing. It's weird because like with friends, I haven't seen any of my friends in person in 2 years. A year? I don't think I've seen any of my friends this calendar year in person. I've wanted to. I've tried to. I'd love to. It's not happening. That's probably not going to happen for a while. I don't go to conventions for the same kind of like the same issue that I have with like other. Anyway, I don't go to conventions because there's not enough people I know there, and also they are like giant vectors for like communicable disease, and we have like multiple pandemics going on right now that just kind of like are pushed in the mental periphery without actually having any like statistical drop in them. Anywho, so like, God, how do we get to here? As long as relationships, how relationships work, how you make a relationship happen is you find someone that you enjoy being around, and then you make a point of spending time around them. You choose to prioritize their existence in your life over like solitude or other people. And for me, there's a difference between that and like making that person the only focus in your life, because that's fucked up. No, it's cool. It's cool. Like dating people is difficult. I have never, here's the thing. I've never found relationships by trying to go dating with people. Like I've never found relationships through dating. I've always just like run into people and crossed paths with people for whom like dating is a thing that kind of ends up kind of just happening. Like one of my friends, former friend, actually, I should say, she was possibly is. I have very little faith that that's changed. Yeah, so probably is still a former friend of mine. Did and does whatever. Did and does do a lot of internet dating. And in the course of knowing her for like a year, one of my roommates was friends with her because she was friends with their partner, basically, and had like lived with them for a period of time, and it was a mess. Huge pain in the ass, awful situation. This person, and I'll get into this person's like peculiarities in a moment, but like this person did a lot of internet dating, and the way this would go is like I would check in and be like, hey, what's up? And she's like, hey, I have a new boyfriend. And I'd be like, cool. And she's like, I met them on this dating app. And I was like, all right. And then it would be like 2 weeks later, or even just a week later, and she would be like, I broke up with this guy because he was a piece of shit and did these things, and I will not tolerate any of these things. And that's fair. All right. You're allowed to set your standards wherever you want them to be. That I'm not going to argue with that. I'm not here to like shit on people for having specific or exacting standards, or being cruel or merciless in the enforcement of those standards. I myself am a cruel and merciless person by my nature. I get that. But like, you're going on a thing to like meet people. You're going on a website, or you're like going to places to meet people. It doesn't really matter how you do it. But like, your actual date process is the process of learning whether or not this person would go well with you. I don't consider that being someone's partner. That is, you are dating. You're in the dating phase. You're in an exploratory phase of dating. Later dating, the non-exploratory phase, is like the like calibration phase, where you start to like really learn more about the person and what they like and that sort of thing. And like, she would also talk about this ex of hers that I'm gonna say it. I'm gonna tell it from the way that I understand it now, not how I understood it then. She said that he was like manipulative and lied all the time and was like abusive and shit. And I was like, that's fucked up. And then she would describe the things that he did. And she was like, he said he would go and get a job interview, but it turns out he was watching Game Grumps all day. And like, he never left the house and he didn't do anything. And like, he had failed out of school and wasn't doing anything. And I was dating him and I was trying to get him to like do stuff. And he would try and like do things to make me like him more. Like, he would like change the sheets and put them together in a certain way. Or like, he would try and like cook me a meal that he knew I would like, or do something like that. And I was like, yeah, that sounds like someone who's depressed and still cares about you. And I didn't say that out loud, but she was like, these are acts of manipulation. And that is a form of abuse. And I'm like, that's not him being like, hey, I'm going to do job apps, and then like was too depressed to go do job apps. That is him lying to you. If he said after you got back and checked in with him about whether or not he did it, if he says, yeah, I did that thing and he didn't do that thing, that's lying and that's fucked up. But like, you're not the person where someone being honest to you about like doing a disappointing thing is something where you're going to take it well and do anything other than be a judgmental asshole. Then they're probably going to lie to you. If being honest with you invokes conflict, they're not going to be honest with you. That's how people work, especially when they are emotionally frail. So you don't have to like the way they were doing that. You don't have to respect that. But like, I feel like that's a dick move to just like hate someone for being depressed. Like, I'm depressed all the time. I'm always depressed. Depression is the only, like, more so than the ADHD, is like the constant permeation of my existence, is like having again that like vacuum seal on my brain with like foam insulation all around it. Like, that's depression, buddy. Nothing feels as good as it's supposed to. And nothing feels good most of the time for my brain, because my brain doesn't process its neurotransmitters correctly. That's just what it fucking does. So there's gonna be days where I don't do shit that I need to do, or that I want to do, that I promised myself or others that I would do, and I fuck up on it. And it sucks. And there will be periods where that just happens. And I don't get to control it. And I've gone through like a dozen medications. None of them have fully fixed the situation. The medications I'm on right now don't fully fix the situation. I feel horrible most days on the inside. But like, there's good things to enjoy during the day. There's stuff to do. I do not commend this person for like being a depressed piece of shit, because I'm a depressed piece of shit. And I'm like, yo, if I met this person, I would probably tell him to like fucking get his shit together and like get some help for his depression. But I'd also be like, hey, that's clearly depression. And she did not have the like vocabulary or the patience to like engage in that fashion. So she just like got angry at him and then broke up with him and kicked him out of her apartment. And then he like slowly but surely recovered once he was no longer being harangued by someone for not being, for not meeting her specific expectations. And that's fair to have those expectations. I don't think those are unfair expectations, but I do think that like not taking the context of the failure state of those expectations, like if you don't care about the context of why someone fucked up, then you don't really care about helping them not fuck up anymore. You care about making them suffer for fucking up, which is not a good process. That doesn't make it better. That just makes it worse. And like, she was also a person where like, if you were to bring that up, she would be like, you were being really like cruel and crossing my boundaries and hurting my feelings and like Like that's wrong. You're doing a wrong thing to me. That's a bad thing to tell me that what I'm doing isn't great. And we had a lot of situations where I, being my usual bitchy self, would be like, that's a dick move. Buddy, that's a fuck. Why are you being an asshole to that person? Why are you having that expectation? Or even, hey, you didn't like when that person did that thing. Did you tell them not to do the thing and then they did it anyway? Or did they do that thing and you don't like it, so then it's their fault for doing the thing, even though it's not a thing that would normally be a thing that would bother people? It's like within the regular expected activities. It's like a normal, like it's within the limits of normal expected activities. It's just something that you find vaguely obnoxious. And then you consider that a crossing of your boundaries. And I'm like, that's not the same thing because you never stated that boundary. You have to state the boundary before you can hold it against them for crossing it. You gotta. Especially when it's in a group of like relatively normal activities. You know? Like, if you want a relationship, if you want a relationship that works, you have to be willing to communicate, and the other person also has to be willing to communicate, and both of you have to have a willingness to like reach out to the other person for the sake of understanding. That's a thing. You have to be willing to talk about it with words from your mouth or in writing or in some communication process. And you don't get to just shit on people for like not knowing your rules. And also, you adding new rules every time you find something you don't like someone doing is fucking childish. That is the work of cowards and children, to be like, I don't like it, so it's wrong that you're doing it to me. When the thing I'm talking about doing it to them is saying words. Just saying words. It's literally saying words that they don't like because you told them that something they did isn't perfect and magical and wonderful. And like, yeah, there's like, there is a time and a place for criticism. There is. And there's a time and a place for like being careful with your language and being respectful with your language. But this former friend would go on many dates and then would be like, this is a horrible person and I don't want to interact with them. And I was like, yeah, that's fair. It's some dude from an internet dating site, and most internet dating sites are used for hookups. Like the primary purpose of Tinder is to go and fuck someone. The main purpose of like Grindr is to fuck people. Like, I don't know why one would go on Grindr, but like as an example, like dating apps are primarily for fucking. Like at the end of the day, they're primarily for fucking. You're doing internet dating apps for fucking. That's the goal. Some people do that and don't want a serious relationship out of the fucking. Internet dating apps advertise themselves as places where you find meaningful relationships. And you can. That is a possibility. But it's no more likely that you'll find someone there who wants a relationship than anywhere else. And also, they attract a primary culture of you go there to hook up with people. Or practice your conversational skills. Or, fuck, I don't know. I don't use dating apps. But I've seen them, and I've seen how they get used by people who enjoy using them and how they get used by people who don't enjoy using them, like this person. And like, it's not your only lifeline, but it's also not your best lifeline. It's not the best place to go to find meaningful relationships. Meaningful relationships are found where you find people who have similar hobbies, similar interests, engage in similar activities. Finding someone who has a hobby with you is important. Right? Like, that's the thing. You don't have to have everything in common with someone, but you should have like some common ground to work with on them in a relationship. And that's like vitally important. And you should do that. Absolutely. But like this former friend, did not want to do the work of like healing from past trauma or like working on their ability to like communicate with people, or like, I don't know, recognizing the importance of considering other people's boundaries. Like if someone says you're doing something that's not nice, that's bad. And you're doing something bad. That is a form of like, that's crossing a boundary. Saying that they don't like something you're doing is crossing a boundary. That's not a boundary. That's not a reasonable boundary. I'm sorry, it's not. People are going to tell you that they don't like what you're doing when they don't like what you're doing, when it harms them or when it clearly harms someone else. Often. And that was the main context in which I would have these conversations with her. And then she would get mad at me for like telling her that it was not cool to do the thing she did. Like, that's kind of uncool. That could be taken the wrong way. Or like, because like clearly there was something going on here where like something wasn't clicking in like the communication structure of things. And so, like, I never saw her conversations with these dudes, but she would, like, chat with these dudes. She would go on a couple dates with them. That's a relationship now. And then they would do one thing she didn't like, and she would dump them and say that they were garbage. And I'm like, that's not how you build relationships. That's how you burn yourself out on the notion of dating entirely. No, that's fine. Enjoy your crab cakes. I cannot eat crab cakes. I hope you enjoy crab cakes. Also, it's not like there's like, it's still where you are. It's still like a reasonable dinner time. But yeah, like that's a common, that's a person where like, I wanted to be friends with them. I wanted to get along with them. I wanted to have something in common with this person. Yeah, that's still dinner time. Like, it's a late dinner, but like, it's still dinner. It's not, listen, after 10 p.m., if you haven't started dinner by 10 p.m. and you're starting dinner at 10 p.m., that's a late night food. And that's a thing that you can feel good or bad about. It's not my business. But like, 5 p.m. to 10 p.m. is the standard dinner time, depending on shifts and depending on sleep schedules and all that sort of thing. Like, that's a normal, it's the later end of normal, but it's still a normal time to eat food. Yeah, a lot of folks, dating's weird and I'm not good at it. I'm uncomfortable about romantic gestures of any kind. They make me feel weird and uncomfortable, and I don't like them. Doing them for other people also feels weird and uncomfortable. Like I'm doing something obnoxious, invasive, or creepy. You know? That's fair. Okay? Like 5 to 8 is a normal dinner zone. Yeah, absolutely. That's a normal dinner time, yeah. And this might be a later dinner, but like it's not, I don't know if you forgot or you just like weren't scheduled. Like it wasn't on the docket for your brain. Meh. Anyway, the worst part of this is like I feel uncomfortable. Aww. I feel uncomfortable with a lot of situations where like I do nice things for Spouse Larkin, and I'm like, this is weird. I'm being weird now. I'm immediately being like, this is fucked up and creepy and weird, and I'm a weird person for doing this. This feels wrong. But like I'll leave her notes and I'll do stuff like that, and I've made her lunches for like, God, years now. The entire time she's been working here pretty much in this area, and I've been looking for a job, I've been making her lunches when she goes to work, and I've been making sure that she has extras so that she can like share with people, and that sort of thing. And like I haven't kicked into gear in full on that yet, for this year, but also she's in a lot of situations where she doesn't really have a place to like sit down and eat food, so she just like carries snack bars and things with her and then eats a real meal here in the evening. Um, which is not ideal, and I'm concerned about that, but like it worked for her, so it worked for her. But like even that, I feel like, oh man, is that cringe and clingy? I don't know. It's probably not, right? Like this is my brain being weird about romantic shit. But like I don't know, like doing nice things for someone is just doing nice things for someone. But like doing nice things for someone because you want to date them seems like it's an important process, but like the whole thing just feels like I'm like being dragged by a motorcycle across like asphalt and sandpaper the whole time and receiving it doubly so. Like someone doing a nice thing for me or getting me a gift or something like that. Like, yeah, no, and it's just like I do a lot of nice things for my friends. I try to. I make them cakes for their birthdays if I'm able to get there and say hi to them for their birthday. I will give people presents. I will send them games, or I will send them like things that they can actually use, or that sort of thing. And I've helped so many of my friends. I think I've helped almost all of my friends move at some point or another. Um, because that's the thing I can do, and I enjoy doing it, and I'm decent at it, and like that's fine. Um, but like, but like, if someone makes me a mixtape, or like the worst one is like laundry. If someone does my laundry for me, I feel like I'm a piece of shit. Oh my god. God, that just thinking about it hurts. Like that happened one time and I was like, ugh. No, that's a job I do. That's a task I'm supposed to complete. That's a task I am that is my task that I'm supposed to do. You no, it's like they're saying that I have failed to do it enough or often enough or promptly enough. Like if someone gets me food, part of it's because like I feel like they think that I'm not going to eat if they don't do it. That's not what I think when I make people food or when I get people food, right? Like that's not, but it is for me. That's the rule for me. Why? Doesn't make sense, but it's there. And like, oh god, like I've gotten flowers for people, and I always feel like it feels like the most unhinged and cruel thing because like if someone got me flowers, I would put them in a vase and they would fucking die. Guaranteed every time. I would put them in a vase and they would fucking die. 100% death rate on those flowers. They're not going to survive more than a couple of days. And then you have dead flowers in a vase for who knows how long, and it's going to be super awkward and super weird, and they're going to be mad if they see them that way, and it's going to be bad. Like flower in a pot is different from like flower in a vase. Cut flowers in a vase are going to die, and then you're going to leave them there forever, and it's going to be a problem because my ADHD is going to say that's part of the terrain now, and it just gloss over it. And the idea that I would give someone flowers to burden them with the responsibility for keeping a thing that I have already killed alive for any amount of time just seems like the meanest thing to do. That seems so fucking like I'm literally setting up a thing for me to be mad at them later. Because that's what it feels like when if someone gives me flowers. Like, I've received flowers maybe once or twice in my life. And both times I was like, oh God, now I have to take care of these and they have to be alive when the person shows up and says hi to me. No, that's terrible. Don't do that. Um, Yeah, that's the thing. Like I do gardening, that's fine. Like I'll have a basil plant or something. That's great. I love that shit. But like that's also a responsibility. Like I feel uncomfortable attending to an animal who is fluffy and cute and wants pets all the time. Right? Like that, I know this creature will only live for so long. And that is a great burden of responsibility to keep this creature for alive and happy for as long as possible. Yeah, go get food. Do food. You're cooking. Oh God. But like for me, that's stressful. If you give me a plant that I have to take care of, if you give me a plant or an animal that I have to take care of, that's a responsibility that I'm going to panic about the whole time. This cat is so stressful to me. This cat constantly stresses me out. Plants in a fucking vase would also stress me out. Why would I do that to someone else? Like, I'm so glad that this cat is not afraid to let me know that she needs food, because I would forget to feed this cat, and I know I would, no matter how important it is. I would forget. And this cat would be so sad. The cat isn't actually here right now. She's over on a different chair, napping. But like, this is also why I don't have kids, is like, I am not cut out to attend for a living person more than myself. And sometimes Spouse Larkin. Generally Spouse Larkin. Like, God. Anyway, yeah, no, like, dating is tough. Dating and job hunting are both difficult things. We've gone over both of these things, and like, the environment of dating and the environment of job hunting and working in general has just gotten so much worse over the past like decade and change. Like, it's steadily gotten worse since I was a kid, which, you know, the 90s. It was getting worse then. It got way worse in the early 2000s, and the 2010s was like bad, and it just accelerated so hard. And then we hit like, as soon as the pandemic hit, it just spiraled into like, it went through the giant pit of shit and directly into the pits of hell. Like, it just turned into something horrible. And I don't know how anyone does it at this point. But yeah. The world has gotten a lot more nightmarish, and I'm not a fan of it at all. Like, unless things change, I don't think a lot of us are making it to old age. I just straight up don't. Um, which means we have to make things change. And we can do it. A lot of people working on that right now. I feel like I'm doing a little bit here and there about that. I'm putting in an hour or two in the make the world a little bit better factory, I think. I hope. It's important to do that. Whatever ways you can, you know. Make life more livable for people, make life more tolerable for people. Either materially or like this thing that I'm doing, which is just giving you something to listen to while you do other shit. But yeah. God, that's like 3 hours of straight talking. That's pretty much 3 hours of straight talking. Good God. Got a list over here. Hang on. Um, typing out the games to finish or play. I don't know that I'm gonna finish El Paso. El Paso also is a great game. Don't get me wrong. I just I just I don't know. I bounced off of it at some point, and I don't know. I don't know. I wish I did know, but I don't know. Um, everyone keeps asking me to play that game. I'll play that game. I'll put it on the list. Is this visible right now? I don't think it's visible right now. That's probably for the best. I'll make it visible. Let's not do that. All right. I know there's more games. There's a bunch of games. Part of me wants to play. So on the one hand, part of me wants to play Quest for Glory or King's Quest on here. I'm worried about it. I'm worried about it. I don't know. You know, I need to set up the lurk bait thing for y'all. I do need to set that up. That's important. That is fine by me if we remove that. Also fine by me if we remove that. For sure Hades 2 has to go in there. That's got to go in there. We got to play that game. Maybe for Chrono Trigger. Welcome back. This is a list of games that we need to play or finish or do more of. That is totally fine. Jesus Christ, we've been talking for like 3 hours. We've been talking for 3 hours. Just talking for 3 hours? Bananas. Absolutely fucking bananas. It is. I'm rationing my ADHD meds and I'm hitting the point where I just don't get to take enough, so I am gonna get more chatty. Maybe that's for the best. Y'all seem to like it. I just got shit to say. I don't know if it's interesting or not. Um Oh god. I'm glad to hear that. I am glad to hear that. I'm also really glad that I don't. So here's the thing. I don't want to. How do I put this? How do I put this without shitting on a bunch of people I actually like watching stream? Um, and a lot of people that I do respect. There isn't a way to do it. Okay, I don't want to talk about things that I don't have a good, and by good I mean well-formed, opinion on or understanding of. I'll explore it as a thought exercise with y'all if that's the case, but I don't want to like say something and have it be like like an assured certain statement of mine or a certain like firm belief of mine if it isn't one. Like I don't want to pretend I believe something or that I know something that I don't. I think that's very important not to let yourself do. It's also like I don't think I'm in a position to give general life advice. I don't. I am not really employed. I'm freelance, so I'm basically unemployed with the asterisk, as I've said before. Uh, but like, but like, I'm in my 30s. I've made a lot of mistakes in my life. I can tell you what I've learned from those mistakes and the general rules I've learned to live with as a result of learning from those mistakes. And that's about it. That's what I can do. That's what I am able to do. That's what I'm able to say and talk about and be open about and honest about and like dig into. But I can't under any fucking circumstances say that I am the be all end all of like intelligent thinking. That's fucking asinine. I'm also never gonna like make a stream where I specifically tell you how to live your life or something. I'm never gonna make a sales pitch to you about how you should do or be yourself. Because there's way too many people who talk about things and they talk about it in like a weirdly like sanitized artificial influencer voice, and it makes me want to stab them all the time. This is the second threat of violence I have produced in this stream, just so we're clear. That's 2 general threats of violence, one specific and one in general. And I will bring up those things and I'll be like, I'm not sure if I handled this right, but like, this is how I handled it. And you probably shouldn't do this thing. As a general rule, there will be exceptions, but as a general rule, don't insult people for no reason. As a general rule, learn to figure out whether or not your discomfort with what someone is saying about you is like genuine criticism or if it's just them being a piece of shit to you. Do the work to that and learn how to like process that information first before you jump on it with an action. That's important because sometimes the answer is they are being an asshole and you should throw down with them. Absolutely. And sometimes they are trying to save you. They are trying to help you and you are not going to get anything out of it. It's the wrong time for them to give you the right information. And both of these are times where you have every right to be frustrated with that person. But one of these, as I've just noted, one of these is the correct time to throw hands. And one of them is the time to tell them to shut the fuck up and talk about it later. And if it's urgent, they probably won't respect that. And that's a problem. And that'll escalate and you're fucked. There's no good end for that. But like, on the one hand, okay, on the one hand, temp agencies and job centers aren't that bad, honestly, in terms of work. If you are the person like helping other people find work, if you're like one of the office staff for that, that's a good gig. If you're going to the offices to get work, you'll usually go through like a dozen shitty jobs before you find one that like is good. But also, temp agencies are the easiest way to get office jobs. If you want an office job, like temp agencies, really focus and hone your skill set and like and your resume and your application to like hone in on like your strong points for office work. Like good communication, skills with like spreadsheet and writing document programs and data entry shit. Like, because job centers and temp agencies is basically the same thing. And they really what they do is they find stuff. Oh yeah, you wouldn't. I don't think you have to worry about that. Like, payroll and logistics are its own section. If you got a job at the temp agency to work as an office person for the temp agency or the job center or whatever, they're going to put you on desk and you're going to take calls. Like, that is going to be the main thing you do. You're going to deal with grumpy people who want to find work, who aren't finding work, or people who don't want to find work, but are required to do this in order to like get their disability stuff, or who are required to find work in order to prove that they can actually do the work so that they can retain their disability stuff. That's going to be a thing. And that's always fucking gut wrenching. But like, I'm a level with you. As someone who has worked in teaching people business skills and writing skills specifically for businesses, and is in charge of like helping people get to a level where they're like more readily able to navigate the employment shitstorm that is our modern society at this point. If you show up to an office where you help people get work and that's your job, their grumpiness will disappear a lot of the time as soon as you show that you give a shit. As soon as you treat them like human beings, they will not be assholes to you like 80% of the time. And any point where you're at, like if they show up and they're already pissed as hell and like practically belligerent, that's one thing, and that is a huge pain in the ass and it sucks to deal with. But like even those folks, once they realize that you're there and you actually give a shit about helping them, even if you can't help them, they will come away like less shitty. You are in those positions. You're not the determiner of whether or not they get their money. You're the determiner of whether or not they're getting work most of the time when they put you down there. And it's going to be you check their thing against a database of jobs over and over again. And that part's tedious, but it's not the end of the world. Most office work is really tedious and just kind of dull, but like a boring office job is still a job. You might also just be doing data entry for them in the background if you get a job at a job center. Like if you're working for the temp agency specifically and not being contracted under the temp agency to do other work, which you can also get contracted for office work that way by focusing on your office related skills on any application you put into them. And that's important. Beef that shit up as much as you can before you put in your application. That's important. It's real good. Unfortunately, a lot of like, so on Indeed and Upwork and all those places, a lot of the times you're not dealing with a person, you're dealing with an automated system. And unfortunately, they're using AI in those, and there's a lot of things to do that. I mean, here's the deal. I am not suitable for a lot of office work. And the main reason I'm not suitable for a lot of office work is that I've reached a point in my life and I've reached a point in my unhinged emotional nature that I am very comfortable if someone wants to be a snipey little shit at me, to inform them that if they want to talk to me like that or talk at me like that, then we can take it outside. And that is not how you're supposed to deal with office conflict. No matter what the people who work at Blizzard tell you. That's not how you do it. But like, I'm going to be honest. If you find a job that you can do that doesn't destroy your mental health, or your physical health, like just completely destroy it in the first couple of days, do that. You're going to have a lot of new things to learn and all that, but that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about, does it feel like when you're doing this work that you are just slowly hammering nails directly into your genitals? Does it feel like you are getting paid to have people take a nail gun to your groin and also your butthole and also your soul? Because if it feels like that and you aren't ready for it, it does great harm to your emotional well-being. If you're okay with that sensation emotionally, that's the wrong way to phrase that. If you're okay with the way the work makes you feel and the way that you work doesn't make you feel like that, then it's fine. I worked warehousing and retail for years. That's also good. Yeah, it's important to know your limits. And it's important, especially when you have a job center or like a temp agency, like it's important to note for the temp agency, you can walk away. You're a subcontractor. When you're contracting on a temp agency, you're a subcontract. You're a temp. You can walk out. If it sucks, you can hit the bricks. And there's like there's very little that will happen to you. It's one of the big benefits of work. It's like one of the only benefits of working at a temp agency. You can be like, this is bullshit. I'm leaving. And you don't get paid for that day. You don't get paid for that day. The temp agents will be like, why'd you do that? And you'll be like, they did a labor violation, and I'm not here about that. I'm also reporting them. Like, I'm reporting to the Ministry of Labor. Like, that's it. Done. They wanted me to do things that were unsafe, or like they were making me do that. And fuck them for making me like do something that's not safe. Or you can just be like, didn't vibe with it and they were assholes. And the temp agency is like, all right, so you're an asshole too. Cool. And they might give you fewer jobs, but they probably won't, is the thing. Because if you show up and you're like, I won't work, they'll be like, we'll do our best to find you work. That's their job. They don't care if you stay in it. But it's like, temps are the most mercenary of laborers or workers of any kind. And the big benefit of being a mercenary is if it sucks, you can just fucking hit the bricks and there's no consequence for you most of the time. Like, there's some temp agencies where they will care, but a lot of them won't. A lot of them won't. Like I signed on to a temp agency for like only 6 months, and I worked 3 little jobs, and they each lasted 2 days before those people asked me to do something that requires a license to be done, and I didn't have the license because I was a temp. Or the person, one of the management people, like got all up in my face for no fucking reason. And was like angry at me for something I wasn't doing. And I literally just didn't put up with it at all. Like both of those situations, I was just like, I'm out. Oh yeah, ad break is hitting, so I'm gonna go. Jeez, 3.5 hours. 3.5 hours of just yapping. Thank you for putting up with this. Holy shit. Yeah. All right. Anywho, so many things to get done. There's so many things to get done. I have a oh God. I have a bunch of little things to finish. Excuse me. But yeah, it's okay. So I'm out of coffee now, but there's a fresh pot. I can go a bit more in a little bit. Like one of my big things that really messes with me a lot of the time is just when it comes to like when it comes to the main work that I've done, like the various jobs I've had, the ones I enjoyed aren't the ones I genuinely enjoyed aren't usually the ones I get to talk about because I have to talk about like protecting your rights, and so I have to talk about the bad ones. But another thing that happens a lot of the time, wait, what is that? Yeah, where are you? Oh, that's that? Okay. Well, that can just go here, I guess? Yeah, that'll go there, I guess. That's fine. I just clicked on my scene to move a thing so that it wouldn't be in the way once it turns back on, and I clicked a different element. Anyway, so I had a lot of jobs that I really liked. There's a ton of jobs I really liked. I did a little bit of work study, and I did some other stuff back in college. A lot of my more recent theater work, actually all of my more recent theater work, was there at the university. We did like I got to work on an opera. I got to work on like a bunch of Shakespeare shit. It was great. And it was all set construction with like a designer who was not quite senile, but definitely really fucking out of it all the time. I'm pretty sure he was a hippie from the 60s and 70s who got into professorship in the theater department and then never left until after I left. So that's a thing. And like, there's not a lot to talk about those jobs. I got to make like a foam sausage that would be used to beat people with. And food carts and shit. There was a bunch of set design stuff that I did where we had like video monitors on like Greek pillars and shit. There's a bunch of things that I got to do that I'm really glad I got to do through that. And I don't talk about it very much because the university that was hiring me, my university, had a lot of union people who were not here to fuck around with like safety or labor violations. They had no interest in that. Some of my favorite humans are from that crowd. But yeah. Yeah. One of my favorite parts of that was so this is a docs moment. But it's also not a docs moment, so it's probably fine. When I worked for theater, I signed up to work for the theater, and I was basically just signing up because I needed money, and I couldn't find a job outside of the university to pay for anything. So I signed up on a contract system where they would give me like an amount of money at the end of the month, basically, as part of a stipend process for being a worker in there. And I had like a limit on the number of hours I could work. But so we had to get everything done in that, and that's fine. But one of my mods was dating someone at the time, and I didn't know that that person would also be working in the theater department. And so for like 2 summers, and also the fall and winter and spring in between those 2 summers, we ended up working together for the theater department. Which was actually really nice. It was very fun. The boss of that situation and the main supervisor were 2 different people. So the boss, the director, was the old man, hippie man who didn't know what the fuck he was doing half the time and changed his mind 50 different times and had terrible taste in everything, and his design process and his like directorial process was really fucking stupid. I think it was literally, what can I make these kids do and still get paid and not get fired? I think that's what he was doing, because he had some of the dumbest fucking ideas for everything forever, and I hated it. He also loved to go on tangents where he would talk about like the kinds of shows he looked up to or looked at and saw as interesting. And they were always very avant-garde, and it was very clear from the way he was describing them that he did not understand what they were trying to do, and it was very bad. But then the guy who was actually my boss, the person who was in charge of telling me what to do in the place, and determining whether or not there was a thing that could be done, that guy was just like a licensed contractor who was working with the university. And he was like, all right, we're going to do this and we're going to make sure people don't die on our stuff. And we're going to paint it and we're going to make it look as nice as we can. And we're going to do our best with what we got. And I was in charge of audio. And the other person was in charge of lighting. And they were like, we'll give you a soundboard. And I was like, fuck yeah. They didn't give me a soundboard. Well, they did give me part of a soundboard. They gave me the actual, like, direct control process for all of the audio. They didn't give me anything for, like, actual EQ. There was nothing I could do if the voices were too quiet, other than make sure the mics were fitted properly on the actors. Because there's outdoor theater. And in outdoor theater, it's always going to be bad. And they chose the place with the most brick and stone, because it was a solid location where they could actually host like theater stuff. And it did not matter what I did. There was always going to be like a lot of echo, and it was always going to suck. And there was I could not do anything. We didn't have time to build any tools to like absorb the audio, and the audio was being aimed in weird directions anyway. So there wasn't a lot I could do about it in the first place. And like, they didn't give me any of the other kit to do actual like good sound work. They didn't do anything. They like had these like, they had fucking like clip-on mics. They had mobile wireless clip-on mics that you would use for like a seminar. You know, on an indoor stage that you would wear, you know, for an hour. They would work for an hour easily. Before you had to worry about anything else. And those things fucked up so often and got destroyed by makeup and got destroyed by tape and got destroyed by acquiring some moisture off of the sweat of someone's body, or got destroyed by someone sitting down with it. Not even hard. Not sitting on it. Just sitting down in the motion of sitting fucked it up. They're not microphones that are supposed to be durable or usable in like big travel zones. Here's the thing. Most microphones that you use for like outdoor settings have a lot of buffering for wind and breath. And this is the summers in an agricultural zone where there's a lot of wind all the time, especially in the evenings, which is when all of the shows were. So I had people saying, I can't hear anything all the fucking time at me, and being like, what's wrong with you? Why can't you make it work? And I was like, hey. And I just walked them around to my little like travel desk space that they set up outdoors. And I showed them the hardware I was working with. And every person who had any experience with sound equipment was like, where's the rest of it? And I was like, that's a great question. I love that question. That's my favorite question. Can you go ask it of the director and the production and the dean of the theater? Can you go ask them where the rest of my equipment is? Because I'd love to know also. But I did make it work 75% of the time, which is good enough. And they were decent actors who could project their voices, so that's fine. So they did that whenever things failed, which was often. But yeah, that work was stupid, and I loved it. Because I still got paid. And also, I'm not in charge of how good they do a show. I'm just in charge of making sure the audio works as well as it can. And it's great having like a clear responsibility in your job, clear metrics for success or failure, and like a clear point of wiggle room for like things that are out of your hands. That's wonderful stuff. And like if you can get those things in any job, it doesn't matter how boring or tedious or genuinely shitty the job is. If you get those things and you can perform up to the standards of like regular expectations, you're fucking golden forever. I'm going to be honest. In a lot of work, especially like office work and especially creative work, which are two different fields, but like in these two fields, they have this in common. If you can pass muster, it's fine. There are some asshole managers who will be like, we need to squeeze every ounce of your energy and time and labor value out of you. And those people are assholes, and they will always be assholes, and they will maybe get you fired. But especially if you're in like a temp agency situation, even if they fire you, that means very little. That means very little. You could just work for a different department in the same company. Most of the time, it doesn't matter. They'll just send you to a different office, and then you'll run into that asshole on the elevator or in the cafeteria or wherever. And yeah, they'll just have to deal with the fact that they can't actually throw you out. Subcontract work is fucking weird. And it's not even necessarily good, but it is funny most of the time. And I would say if you can get into that work and you can withstand it, you can slowly but surely take apart whatever fucks you have to give about it, and just get to actually like doing the job. And it will go well most of the time. The trick is just getting into those jobs. Getting into any job is kind of tricky at this point, but like you got to show up and you got to be ready. And that's a thing for any work that you do. But like for the job hunt and the interview process and that sort of thing, like you don't have to, like, I know a lot of people are like, okay, you're supposed to like do a song and dance and pretend it. You actually don't. Here's the thing. A lot of people, especially autistic people, are going to be like, hey, I didn't know I had to like regurgitate a bunch of lines about how I want to work for this company forever. I don't do that. Every time I've done that for a job interview, I've been passed over. Literally, I just show up and be like, hey, you're hiring. I know that I will do my actual best in this job. If that's the kind of person you want doing this job, totally hire me. Just hire me. If you don't want that, if you want someone who doesn't care about doing the job well, hire someone else. I care about actually doing my fucking job. I care about getting it done. I don't care how stupid it is. I don't care how tedious it is. You are paying me to do stupid, tedious stuff. That is my job description, is deal with tedium, deal with assholes, and don't murder anyone. I don't say that part. I just, you are hiring me because you want someone who won't fall apart at the first sign of trouble and won't fall apart just because it gets a little monotonous or a little complicated. You're considering me because I gave you some bullet points that are relevant to the job. And you should hire me because I'll actually do the job. I'm not here to half-ass my work. I don't care how stupid it is. I don't care how bad the job is. Like, I literally, when I got hired for the grocery store that I worked at, and when I got hired for the warehouse, I walked in, I said hi, I was friendly, I was personable, yada, yada, yada. But the big thing that they wanted, because I was like 18 and I was fresh out of high school, the big thing they wanted to know was if I could get there reliably. That's their way of asking if you have a car or if you have reliable transportation. And I was like, yeah, that's not a problem. Which was a lie. I was walking there, but I was walking there from like a place that was only a quarter mile away. So it wasn't a big deal. And then later I had regular transportation because Papa Shrone was a fucking saint and a hero and just drove me with him to work because we had the same shift. Anytime I had extra shifts, I would just find my way there via a taxi, which is something that barely exists anymore. But yeah, no, it was totally fine and it worked. It was good. But like that job, I was like, hey, I'm in decent shape. I can move fast. I can move safe. It's important to like get this stuff done. If you're worried about the fact that it's a set of 12-hour shifts, I am not worried about that. I'll get used to it. It won't be a problem. And I did, and it wasn't a problem. It's not for everyone, and I didn't do it forever because eventually it would become a problem, and I saw that before it hit, and then I changed out and got out of there because I didn't want to be a person who was too exhausted to be safe and then be in a situation where I was a near-death experience, only this time I wasn't fast enough or careful enough or aware enough to avoid it. And then I got into the job with retail, and the retail was way easier. They were like, hey, you're doing stock stuff, so you're filling shelves and making sure orders come in and that sort of thing, and unloading orders and loading orders and that sort of thing. You're doing a lot of movement stuff. Can you do that? And I was like, I'm in the best shape of my life right now. Yeah, I can do that. That's not a problem. Sir and ma'am who are doing the interview right now, I can do fucking handstand push-ups. I'm fine. I'll be in even better shape once I'm moving boxes on a regular basis. And sure enough, I got into amazing shape in that job. But yeah, if you can get to the interview and you can just be honest with them and be like, hey, I'm going to do the best I can at whatever you throw at me. Whatever it is that you're throwing at me, I'm going to basically work my ass off for you. If you do that, more often than not, those people are going to like that. If you are willing to be honest about it and you're willing to actually follow through on that, job hunting is not the kind of nightmare that like I have to deal with in a place where it doesn't matter how hard you work. It matters like whether or not they're actually hiring and whether or not what they're doing is a criminal violation that you have to report to the NLRB or just the Better Business Bureau or any of that. Like, if you're not dealing with scams or sketchy motherfuckers, if you are responding in a genuine and honest fashion and you're willing to put in the time and work, it's fine. And it doesn't, I'm going to be honest, I'm willing to do a lot of tedious shit. And if you aren't, I don't blame you. I do not blame you for not wanting to do tedious, shitty work. I'm fine with doing tedious, shitty work because I don't fucking care. They're paying me to waste my time. I get it. That's how labor works. A lot of your time is going to be wasted doing stuff that doesn't end up getting used in any way or does anything like super meaningful. And it's a never-ending slurry of tasks that must be done. But honestly, working in retail didn't suck except for like the management. Management didn't know what the fuck they were doing. And they weren't willing to like get rid of the people who were causing active problems and like endangering their stuff and their other workers. But like that's its own problem, and that is a systemic issue that will happen in all kinds of businesses and not just retail establishments. But yeah, no, like I'll take an office job over a labor job any day. But that's not true. I kind of love being able to work with my hands. I like moving things all day. I like having an excuse to go and exercise a bunch. Like even talking with people and helping them find stuff and helping them figure out what kinds of things they needed in a grocery store was pretty good because I mean it probably also helps that I cook and have been like I cook and bake as a hobby. And so like people would be like, I need to make this gluten free. And I'm like, all right, well, here's how you do that. Here's stuff that you can do that we have that you can use to make that work. And they're like, but I want a cake. I don't want to have to like figure out proportions and stuff. And I was like, all right, we got gluten free options for that too. Like we can make this as brainless as you need it to be, buddy. That was actually fun. I enjoyed that work. If it wasn't for the fact that like half of my coworkers just weren't doing their job and then were like making me shoulder all of their section of the job, or that they were just neglecting entire vital parts of their work, so I had to do it instead of the things that I could be doing that would be beneficial and like would actually get stuff moved into other places, like that was the only thing that got, those are the two things that got in my way, really. Even the pervy customers weren't the big deal. Because God, so many horny old people. Anyway, that's just a hazard of retail when you work in a place where there's a lot of old people, in a community where there's a lot of old people. Um, but yeah. God. Like, I'm not gonna lie. I would love if this became my job. I'm also okay if I just have an actual job. If I have a job where I can, like, get up in the morning and go to the job and come back in the evening and it would be fine. Just like regular hours, regular, like, work hours, and not like start at 11 p.m. or start at midnight shit. I don't want to do that. As long as I can, like, get up and go to bed at normal times, I'm happy. Let me have that. And also let me do regular work that doesn't involve me committing crimes. That would also be good. Anyway. Alright, it's been like almost 4 hours. Jesus fucking Christ. Jesus fucking Christ. Should we raid somebody? I feel like maybe we should raid somebody and just get the fuck out of here. Because I don't think I'm going to be gaming today. I don't think that's in the cards for today. It's been basically 4 hours. God. Is there anyone to raid at this hour? This is way earlier than I normally stream. Like, this is way earlier for ending stream too, which is a thing. But like, I can feel my voice starting to give out, and I don't want to fuck that up. I got shit to do. Let's see if there's someone who's like on. Is there anyone who's like actually live? Who isn't a total dickbag? That's mean. There's plenty of people live who aren't dickbags. That's not what I mean, like, from my... That was so mean. I don't need to be that mean. Good lord. I kind of want to go and watch someone do something fun, you know? But I don't know, it's been good to vibe. I should, I could just get some coffee and see where that takes us. But also, I kind of want to... Okay, I'm going to be real here. Part of my brain does actually... This is fitting music. Part of me does want to stream more, like, tonight. Which is part of why I kind of want to go now. So I can, like, make food happen and stuff. So that I can do a late night stream, maybe. I kind of have a feeling that if I do a late night stream, it might turn out real good. And it might be a lot of fun. Because this has been nice, and it's nice to, like, chat. But it's... But, like, I got stuff that I want to do that isn't stream, unfortunately. And I also kind of want to stream. I kind of want to do a late night stream. I feel like I actually have energy today, and that's a rarity, and I want to get it. I want to make use of it. Like, I know I'm going to be doing, like, as soon as I hop off of here, I'm going to be doing other work. 100%. Is there anyone to raid? Is there anyone? Whomst the fuck are you? I feel like this is a... Hang on. I don't remember this person. I don't think they're... How long have you been running? Oh shit. Okay, yeah. No, they're doing Minecraft. Um, I've never been to this person's stream before. Um, yeah, fuck it. Yeah, fuck it. Fuck it. Um, this is a short one, but I'll be back. I'm gonna try and come back later tonight. To kind of make up for the fact that we're ending before 4 hours even hits. Um, but yeah, let's fuck it. Fuck it. Fuck it. Fuck it. I'll grab their name real quick. I don't want to misspell this shit ever. All right. Um, thanks for hanging out. Thanks for chatting with me. I'll be back hopefully tonight. I can't guarantee it, but I want to aim for it. You know? I want to shoot for it. I don't know what we're going to do tonight. I might make you watch me play more Tears of the Kingdom and do busy work, or I may make you watch me do grinding in another Crab's Treasure or Tunic. I don't know. I'll figure it out. I can't make you watch me write scripts and like character profiles for the thing I'm doing because I don't have a good way to set that up where it would be visible and also not burn my eyes out on something that doesn't have a dark mode because I kind of need that for typing. But yeah, anyway, I will be back. If not later tonight, then certainly on Thursday. I'll be back on Thursday. Okay? For sure. I will not be back on Wednesday. I will be back on Thursday. I may be back later tonight, and that may bleed into Wednesday, but that's not the same as starting on Wednesday. Okay? Okay. We're going to raid Snake Halabaster. I don't know who the hell this is. They say they're an Eldritch Leviathan VTuber, and they're playing Minecraft. So I want to check that out. Let's see if they're any good. Until next time, try not to die. That's all I can ask of you. Be good to yourselves. Be kind to yourselves. See you later, all right?